All right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, Mega ZardX here, back at it again to give y'all another very exciting episode of my ZardCast podcast with my episode. Oh my gosh, it's kind of weird. I'm so used, and YouTube has been doing so many different things on the back end where I normally always see the episode title all the stinking time, and my goodness, it's not there. I'm literally having to actually pull up my stream in real time though. But while I'm doing all of that, Steven, how's it going, man?
Going good. Hanging out.
Hanging out, trying to stay warm, right?
Yep, got this winter storm coming by right now. Got a lot of snow, a lot of freezing rain right now.
Yeah. And episode 117 is where we're on right now. My goodness. Rarely ever do I ever mess up an intro like that though. But episode 117. And yeah, man, it is cold outside. I don't know where most people that might be watching this where they're living at, but if you're anywhere in the continental United States, I think I've been seeing the reports on this big old winter storm. I forgot what they actually called the name of the storm though, but it's literally starting off in like the dead center, almost around Texas, and moving all the way up to the northeast where you're at, Steven. And I think they said roughly about 2/3 of the whole entire country is being affected by the snow and ice. It's that big. So we're talking about millions and millions of people. 2/3 of the whole population, at least of the U.S. That's a lot of people. And
It is, yeah.
and I was like, say, yeah, we had roughly about a foot or so of snow. It was quite a bit. It was quite a bit. And it kind of came in like two different rounds because we had it like first in one round that happened Friday night and the Saturday. It wasn't enough for me to get out of work, but when I went to work, they able to close up shop early. Like we got the calls from our managers and stuff say, hey, we can go ahead and shut down the store. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. And I got to get paid out for the rest of the day though. And then even though I wasn't scheduled to work today, they did manage to go ahead and close the store again today. So I'm fingers crossing that I can also get it closed tomorrow though, but we will see on that though. But I've seen a lot of people, doing the traditional, snowball fights, sledding and all of that stuff. You said it was already snowing over there where you're at, right?
Yes, but it's a lot of wind.
Okay. Yeah, because okay, so for you, it just might be a lot of wind right now. And I think the low for tonight is like -5 or something. It's like stupidly cold outside right now, though. So I'm just trying to stay warm and stuff, though. And just be cozy around the fire and still get this podcast out at a regular, reasonable time. Luckily, we didn't get like ice like some locations where we could have lost power. And if that would have happened, there would have been no show tonight. But the show must go on, though.
Right here, it's about 25 degrees right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Y'all hadn't even got the coldest bit of it though. Yeah. Well, outside of that stuff right there, it should be a pretty good show tonight. This is gonna be the part 2 to the year-end review. So we already did January through June in the last episode. So if you wanted to catch up on that, you can check that last episode out. But tonight we'll finish out the rest of our year-end review for 2025 near the end of the show. It's like one of the last marquee highlights, though. But we had quite a bit of stuff that was actually announced. Normally, I kind of used to pulling for some topics for some of these first couple of episodes for the pod of the new year being in January. But a good amount of stuff has happened. We got some Dragon Ball updates from both the anime as well as some gaming related stuff. So I got that stuff segmented in two different parts of the show. So I got some exciting stuff to talk about like that. Obviously, we had that Xbox Developer Direct that happened within the past week as well. Ubisoft being Ubisoft, we'll get to that. Resident Evil had another new showcase. I think it's going to be probably the last big blowout that they'll have for that game before it comes out, though. And then we had this weird old, I would call it a Nintendo Twitter Direct. So there was quite a few announcements, and even including a Nintendo Direct that wasn't a general Nintendo Direct. It was based around the Mario movie, so we got to get some thoughts on that. And then we'll conclude it with the year in review. So a lot of stuff lined up for the show, so it should be a good one, though. So we might as well go ahead and jump up in it, though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight on over into that pop culture segment. Oh, man, Steven, I know you ain't got a lot of stuff to say about this thing, though, but oh, my goodness. Yes, The long awaited wait is over. My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we can welcome back the old school classic. It's not a really old school classic, but Dragon Ball Super, my brother in arms, is back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for the longest time. I think when this show first originally aired, it was like in 2014. It's almost been a whole 10 years. That's how you know, Steven, you're getting old, is when you can recall some vivid memories 10 years ago. And you know, not a lot of people can say that, or at least in your younger generations, people, they can't really say, oh, I remember stuff a decade ago. Now I can say that. Man, this reminds me how old I'm getting, though. But anyway, though, I've been waiting for the longest time for Dragon Ball Super to kind of pick up exactly where they left off. Yes, we had Dragon Ball Daima to kind of, you know, bite us over in the middle, though. But I'm glad that they actually confirmed all of this stuff because if y'all don't know, it's Dragon Ball's 40th anniversary from, you know, the point when you had like all the manga and stuff coming out. And then obviously that led into the anime, games, and everything else that came after it, though. So yeah, I'm hugely ecstatic. And Steven, you know that one meme from like Family Guy, right? Where it's like, it was like Peter and he's driving down the road. He looks up at the bulletin board and then he swerves around in his
Yes,
car.
I seen you repost that.
Yes, that was literally my reaction. I was literally playing some games the other night, and I knew they were going to announce some stuff, but I knew it was supposed to happen on a certain day, but I wasn't thinking about timeline. So I was thinking it was supposed to be the next day, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, in Japan, it's already that day. And I looked down at the phone, and I saw that announcement, and I yelled out. I was like, heck yes. I was like, oh, gosh. But yeah, so got a continuation of Dragon Ball Super. It's supposed to start off with the Galactic Patrol arc. So we got that to look forward to, but unfortunately, it's not going to come out anytime soon. It's still relatively soon compared to what we've been waiting. Ending of 2027 is where it's going to be slotted at. But in the meantime, though, actually, I don't know if you call it a remaster, a remake. It's basically kind of redone animation, though, like from the ground floor up. But they're actually going back and reanimating the Beerus art that we already had. Like, we already had a movie version of it, and we had an anime version of it. So now they're going back and doing it again because some of those shots, like you look at Goku in Super Saiyan 3 form when he was fighting Beerus and like Otherworld and stuff like that, some of them shots are rough. And me and our other friend Santa Q, like he would vouch for all of this stuff, though. And I'm not nearly like the biggest stickler for stuff like that, though, but like it was kind of evident and shown really well. Even if you paused it real quick, you could just tell some things are off. So they're cleaning up some stuff like that with the animation, staying a little tighter with the manga and stuff like that, though. So yeah, so we have that Project Beerus that's in the works. That's this year, like the ending of 2026. And then you had the Dragon Ball Super continuation at the end of 2027, though. So exciting things to come, at least on the anime side. That wasn't all things Dragon Ball announced, though, but we'll save the gaming-related stuff for later on in the show, though. But Steven, I highly doubt you had anything to say on that because I'm the big Dragon Ball fan out of us, too.
Well, I will say, like, I know for a fact, like, just from, like, Sanic, you telling me that, like, Dragon Ball Z Kai is, like, the way that people usually recommend to watch Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it, like, you know, makes it better. So, like, you know, obviously, it's pretty cool that they're going back and they're fixing stuff that people didn't really like. Like, I don't know. It's like, they're not, like, redoing the entire episode or redoing voice acting, right? They're just going
Well,
in and
they
touching
might.
up.
They're technically gonna have to revoice lines because with the redone animation, the lip syncs is gonna be off, and I think they're adding in extra stuff that was probably in the manga that we didn't get to see whenever it was
Okay.
first, either in the movie form or in the anime form. So obviously they're gonna redub over this stuff, though. But they're jam packing all of this art into like 6 episodes. So I'm thinking these episodes are gonna be like longer than your traditional 20 minutes. Like they might be going on like a 40-ish or something minutes because I don't think they can do 6 20-minuters and be done. They might be possible, but I mean, I think these episodes are gonna be longer than your traditional almost roughly 20 minutes.
So it's kind of like a director's cut thing
Basically,
almost.
yeah, because I know like ReZero, you don't probably know about that show, but for some anime people out there was like the traditional season 1 that was 24 episodes. They went back and did a director's cut and they jammed it all into 12 episodes, but with each one of those 12 episodes, it was like almost double the runtime. So instead of 20-ish minutes, it was like more like 40-ish minutes. So that's what I'm kind of expecting roughly with this, with the Beerus arc. But yeah, I think we got some exciting things to come. I'm really looking forward to this Dragon Ball stuff. I feel like anime, I've been eating really good. I hadn't been saying like a whole bunch of stuff that I've been going through and watching as of late. Like we got some crazy good anime that's coming out right now just for this winter season though. But like the news is keep on coming. Like I feel like I'm eating something good every season though. But yeah, Dragon Ball fans, you can finally rejoice. We getting some good stuff coming in the nearby distant future though. But yeah, outside of that, that's pretty much all the pop culture stuff I have at least set up for right now. I'm gonna hold off. There was like one additional trailer that we managed to get for Marvel, but we're kind of getting close, Steven, to the Super Bowl because oh shoot, the Super Bowl's in 2 weeks, ain't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't even think about this until now. We're in the moment.
I don't.
There's no way we're probably gonna wind up doing that the podcast on the 8th. So either we're gonna have to do the next episode either next week or we got to do it the week after. I'm gonna have to offset the weeks. Crap.
I think week after is probably better
We'll probably
because
do the week after. Yeah, so
the
that way we
inevitable.
can talk about the stuff that were announced. If there was like funny commercials, anything pop culture related. If we get some good memes out of the halftime show, whatever though, that's probably what will happen.
Yeah, the inevitable Nintendo Direct looming over everything.
Yeah. All right. So that'll probably be the plan though. So yeah. But yeah, after that I'm expecting some other big Marvel stuff, so we'll have that back in the show in the next episode whenever it happens, probably in the next 3 weeks or something like that. But yeah, outside of that, that's pretty much all I have slated up for the pop culture stuff. So now we're going to go over and jump into the next part of the show, that being what we've been playing. All right. Well, since it's been snowing a whole bunch, it's been cold out. I mean, sometimes you still got to run out and get your groceries and stuff like that, though. But occasionally, we'll sit down on our big screen TVs and we'll sit down and play some video games. So, Stephen, what have you been playing as of late?
Recently, I've been only because I have a new PC now. I've been going and playing some stuff on PC. Going back doing that more. Um, played some. Went back to play Sonic X Shattered Generations. Did another run through of that game. Always fun to play that. Um, played Resident Evil 7 and 8 a little bit. I'm gonna fully play those right before 9 comes out, which I have some stuff to say about 9 later when we get to that. Been playing Rivals of Ether 1 and 2 with friends. Just very fun like Smash like fighting games. Other than that, I have really not been playing too much. I played the event that they did for Donkey Kong Bonanza the other day. It's got like Tropical Freeze stuff in it. I've been trying to keep up on all of those Donkey Kong
Okay.
Bonanza
Yeah.
events, just so I have like I have everything on there.
Hmm. What were
Other
they
than
giving out
that,
this time?
they gave out, it was the little penguin guy from Tropical Freeze, just a basic penguin,
Oh. Hmm.
and then the main villain, King Frederick or Lord Frederick,
See,
the
it's weird. I know it's been
big
a while
guy.
since I played Tropical Freeze. I can always picture what the dude looks like, but I just never could remember, the name of that dude, or even the
Yeah,
main boss of the of Returns. I know it's the Tiki
Tiki
dude.
Tong.
Oh, that's what.
Tiki Tong.
Of course, it rhymes with Kong. But yeah, okay, and that's pretty much all you've been playing.
Yeah, honest, I really haven't been playing much. I'm waiting for this goddamn Thor.
Okay.
Really, really waiting for my Thor to come so I can mess with it and tinker with it. I'm just really excited to mess with that. Which I guess I could cram it in here. I got my shipping update. It's coming soon.
Now, I guess they say soon. I don't know how fast soon
So
really is with it coming all the way from China, but
says 10 days, but other people have said as little as 5. But this winter storm might be messing with things, and DHL might be on hold.
yeah,
You
because I
know,
imagine they could probably get it to California, no issue. But getting it all the way from California all the way to where you're at with all the snow, then that might hit some extra delays. So that might be
yeah,
possible.
I paid for express shipping, so I'm hoping I get express shipping. Either way, even if I get it like beginning of February or whatever happens, I'm just glad that it's shipped. That's definitely a start because they've been shipping out little by little on those batches. Like it was the black ones one day and then the white ones and then the purple ones, and it was slowly, slowly coming up to the rainbows where I'm at.
Hmm.
And then on the Sunday, when they usually don't do shipments, they did a surprise shipment. of rainbows.
Okay. Sunday their time, or you
So
talking
I
about
was
Sunday our time? Because wouldn't it technically be
Sunday their
Monday there?
time. This was
Oh,
last. Yeah,
oh,
this was
okay.
last night.
Hmm. All right. Well, it sounds like you've been
Yeah,
keeping yourself somewhat occupied, and I'm like, okay.
been trying.
At least for me, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think I brought this up, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Steven, if I didn't bring it up in the last podcast, though. I think since the last time I played, or last time we had our episode, I think I was either just getting into or I hadn't messed with it yet with the whole Danganronpa series. I feel like that's all I've been basically playing for the most part, for the better part of like these past couple or few weeks. Because I started off with the first game, I fell in love with it. It was almost like love at first sight because I really love myself some visual novel games. Like, I started off with Doki Doki Literature Club, watching a Let's Play of that. Went on to play Ace Attorney, loved the heck out of that. Played all the games 1 through 6, the main series one, and then even messed with the Famicom Detective Club, 2 out of those 3 of those games that actually exist right now. And I was like, man, I love stuff like that, but it's like few and far between when I see something that will probably catch my interest where I'm like, all right, I'm going to get into it. So one of my coworkers was happened to talking about one of her favorite series or whatever, and then Danganronpa happened to come up, and I was like, you know what? That was also a series that Sonic was also talking about, our other good friend. And I was like, I was meaning to get to this, but after seeing how passionate she was on this, I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and try this mess out. And gosh, I was almost low key addicted to this because it's not just about the killing game. And the matter of fact, you have to figure out who the culprit is every time someone happens to die. You're kind of forced in this killing game. You start off with like 16 or 15 different students, and you literally have to go through and trial by trial, somebody will go and kill somebody because of a certain motive that Monokuma happens to throw out. And then obviously that will insinuate someone to actually try to kill off somebody. And then they're trying to get away with it so that way they can escape the school, though. But then you, along with everybody else that's still there at the crime scene and stuff, got to figure out who the killer is. And if you guess right, only the killer gets punished. But if the killer will happen to get away scot free, then everybody else that didn't commit the crime will actually get punished. And when I'm saying punish, I mean like executed. Like that, this game ain't playing around though. And some of those executions is rough with a capital R, like real rough. And I got through the first game. I thought I was gonna put a little bit of break or pause before moving from the first to the second game. I couldn't even last a day. I moved right on over to the second game, and I was addicted all over again. I was like, wait a minute. And then I found out there was an anime that went and basically tied up all the loose ends from the first 2 games. Like everything happened prior to the first game and stuff that happened in the future, a little beyond the second game. So now I went through and watched all of that. And gosh, it took me only 3 days to get through that. So now I'm almost caught up with the whole series. I just literally, outside of me not playing Ultra Despair Girls, I kind of skipped over that. I saw some kind of recaps or some, fillers and stuff to get the most important plots out of that, though. There's only like 1 episode they pull out of the anime for that game in particular. But then outside of that, now I just barely started the 3rd game. And I don't know, Steven, no, but it's weird. You think gameplay wise, the games in this series should be getting better. Plot wise, has been absolutely phenomenal. It always starts off a little slow in the beginning, though, and that's where I'm kind of running to right now. It's a little bit slow for this game right here. But I don't know why, but when you're actually moving around the school and actually doing your exploration and stuff, where you're peeking in classrooms, talking to other students and stuff, man, there's some lag up on this game. There's a little bit of some jank, but I think a lot of people happen to overlook it for the most part because how good the story usually is. This 3rd game is just a little bit more janky than even the second game. I thought the second game had a little bit to it, but it wasn't too terrible, though. But this one, like, oh my gosh. Outside of that, I've been thoroughly enjoying it. I'm trying not to get burned out. I might have to actually put some time between me actually really getting into the 3rd game because that lore in the Danganronpa series has gotten me going for the better part of these past few weeks. But now most of my questions are answered. But I think this 3rd game is supposed to say how you're supposed to conclude the whole entire, or it's going to explain how they're going to conclude the whole entire series. So I'm kind of bummed out that this might be basically the last thing. Though I know there's that 2x2 that's like a remake of the second game that's going to come out later on this year. So I'll pick that up for sure. But yeah, in terms of this like brand new stuff, ain't got too much more to look forward to. So yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much all I've been playing. And then recently, just only today, I went back and picked up where I left off at within Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. But that's mostly what I've been doing. I feel like I should be playing my Analog 3D a bit more though, but I've been trying to knock out as much slightly new stuff with Danganronpa I've been doing. Try to knock out some old stuff because once February comes in, Steven, I think it's bang, bang, bang with some releases that are upcoming.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff coming up. So yeah, get your backlog stuff done while you can. I should be doing that, trust me.
But you're failing on it, is what you're telling
Oh,
me.
I'm failing on it. Yeah,
Mm.
no, I'm definitely failing on it. But like, I don't know. It's like, I'll be good.
Yeah, and I still got to find a way to motivate myself to get through the last little bit of what is it called? Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I feel like I'm like 60% of the way through on that game. I'll just play a good chunk, put it down, play another good chunk, put it down. So I need to sit down. I might just ignore all the side quests and might just blitz through the story because it's not that much of a complicated game. I just need to see how this game concludes though. I need to get on that too. But yeah, outside of that, that's pretty much all I've been going through playing as of late. I'm trying. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I hadn't played any like PS5 games recently as of much. I know I got Ninja Gaiden 4. I'm still sitting on that mess, but I think it's gonna be a while until I have a new PS5 game to actually sit down and play, or that I will be
Who knows?
anticipating. Well, I mean,
Wolverine is
I know
coming.
Wolverine is a big one, and I thought there was one more. Now I'm just not thinking of right now, but oh, and technically like some DLC for Ghost of Yotail with the multiplayer. I think that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my mind right now.
That's probably it, though. I don't know.
Mm.
It's really a slow year for. I think it's really a slow year for gaming in general. Like, you have like GTA 6 looming over the entire year, but like that's it. I don't know. It's just kind of slow right now, but like I think that's
Oh,
fine.
GoldenEye 007 First Light. That's the other one. I knew I was slipping on one
Oh
more.
yeah.
I think I'm gonna. It'll either been on Switch 2 or PS5. I might wind up getting on PS5 because I just probably want the whole game and not a game key card thing, unless I want to get the game digital. But yeah, no, those are the only things I could think of.
I gotcha.
Yeah. All right. So outside of that, that's pretty much it in terms of what we've been playing as of recently, though. So now we're gonna go and jump over to the next major segment of the show, that being what's in the gaming news. All right, Steven. So we managed to have the first presentation from Xbox happen literally this past week. And they finally got to show off more of the games that that they wanted to kind of showcase off, because we already knew going into this presentation that we're going to talk about at least 3 games. It was going to be Forza Horizon 6, you had Fable, and you had Beast of Reincarnation. Obviously 2 first party games, one that's basically a third party game, and then one more that's also a something else though. But before I even talk about any one of them 3 games, because I kind of skimmed over the presentation just in a nutshell though, that 4th game, remind you, last year that 4th game was Ninja Gaiden 4. That 4th game, the year before that, was oh gosh, now the name is slipping my mind. Visions of Mana. Both games are good, and I was genuinely surprised with those 2 announcements. I was expecting something special, something Japanese inspired and stuff that Xbox been trying to kind of push towards too, just a little bit. And what we got, Steven, was Kiln, Kiln. I looked at this mess. I was like, "That's it? Did you even
Yeah,
see this?"
I don't know. No, I didn't see it, but like I heard that it just was nothing.
I felt like that was just kind of fluff they threw up in the presentation. If that's the best you can bring as like a 4th hitting game, you might as well cut that from the show. Because most of the other people that come here to watch this thing, they're only going to remember the other 3 things. They ain't going to remember that. Like, my goodness.
Listen, Xbox is fucking dying anyways, so whatever.
Oh, no. So that's all I can say about that game. out of the 2 Xbox related games, I think a lot of people are going to be anticipating these greatly. Forza Horizon 6, the decals and stuff like that, they always look nice. I just can never get into like an actual like racing game that's not like a arcadey-ish thing, like obviously like a Sonic Team Racing or a Mario Kart or whatever. No, that's the most I ever do with racing. But you know, your Forza, your Gran Turismos, they always look cool to me. I just can never get up into them, but I can appreciate the fans that do like it. So there's a lot of features and stuff they added in this game, and obviously with you racing around in Tokyo, which you know you're probably gonna get some pretty good decals over there, though. I'll say so the least, though. But yeah, a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that. That game does come out May 19th, so we do have a month, day, and a year release for that now. The other big Xbox game, the one that's always been getting delayed and kicked down, you know, the can getting kicked down the road a little bit, was Fable. And now they have like a season when this is supposed to be released. It's supposed to be autumn of 2026. So that game's looking somewhat promising right there. So at least Xbox people, they got a couple of things to chew upon with this one. And it's kind of interesting because I think Fable, I know you can play it on Xbox. It's going to be like a day one thing with Game Pass and all of that, though. But I have to remind myself, I'm pretty sure this is the case, though. And you can correct me on this if I was wrong, Steven, though. But I want to say Fable, when they popped up that thing, I think it's actually going to be available on the PS5 too, ain't it?
Maybe. I didn't see about that. I'm sure it will be. Come
Yeah,
on,
no, it
let's be
is. It
honest.
is. It is. So it's kind of
Yeah, I don't
weird
know.
having a big old first party game like that. And it's like, you don't have to play it on the Xbox. You can play it on PS5. I'm like, well,
Yeah, I do not like how that Fable game looks in the slightest. I think it looks terrible. If you want me to be completely honest.
I mean, there wasn't anything in it that has me actually like, oh, I got to look at this or keep my eye interested on it. Like if I got to choose between Fable or Forza Horizon 6, I'm going with Forza. I just can't with Fable though. I don't know. And you would think with it being almost kind of like medieval, almost medieval-ish, like almost like gets that sense of like a RPG just looking at it at face value. I don't know. It's just something about it though. So yeah, so we had those 2 game announcements and or reveals, you know, deep dives, I guess is what you more so can call it, because it was just them talking with the game developers. The last thing we had was the Game Freak game, the Beast of Reincarnation. And I don't know how exactly I feel up on this thing outside of the fact that, well, you know, Game Freak can make a game other than a Pokemon game and it can still look good. But if you do your digging and you start figuring some things out, it's not just all completely made in Game Freak. They did do a lot of outsourcing to get a lot of this game done too. And it's made by a pretty small team, and we know the rest of Game Freak, their eyes are focused on, you know, Generation 10 for the next Pokemon game that should drop out this holiday, though. But did you have anything to say on that game, Steven? Did you see any of that footage kind of floating around?
For Gen 10
No,
or
no,
for
no,
which game?
for
Sorry.
Beast of Reincarnation.
So I was just making sure. Beast of Reincarnation, visual wise, it looks pretty nice. Like it obviously had more of a budget and more of time than any Pokemon game, which is sad. I don't know. Like it's definitely something that they've just kind of been working on, but like visually, it actually looks like a PS4 game or like maybe like early PS5 game. Which the Game Freak will always still be behind. Let's be honest, but it looks better than most Pokemon games. Who knows how it actually runs? But still, like they can do modern graphics. They just cannot do it with Pokemon for some reason. Besides that, it looks fine, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks fine. I mean, it kind of looks like, you know, one of those games that would kind of fit within the Xbox. I'd say more so like a PS5 game or, you know, PlayStation ecosystem. But yeah, no, it's cool that they're going to be able to get this game out, and it's shooting for a window frame of summer of 2026. So yeah, if y'all were remotely curious about that, or you like the footage that you saw on the Xbox Developer Direct, yeah, you can kind of look forward to that to play during the middle of summer. More power to y'all. But outside of that, that was pretty much it for that Developer Direct. So nothing to kind of go crazy about. I feel like the one that we had last year was a little bit better, mostly because I was just in it for all the Ninja Gaiden goodness that we got up in that show, though. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Xbox Developer Direct. So we'll move on over to the next thing, though, because oh gosh dang, oh Ubisoft, you're killing me, man, you're killing me. What the freak? Because literally, Ubisoft came out with some news, And they say, yeah, that Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time remake that we've been working on for the past 6 years, yeah, we're canceling that along with a handful of other stuff. Like we just can't no more. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I remember they had like trailers and stuff for this like a few years ago, and I think it got enough of a backlash. Like, remember when the Sonic movie got backlash for like the art style direction, whatever? Same equivalent,
Yeah.
but with this remake game, it looked too bad for most fans, so they went back to the drawing board up on it. Now 6 years in, I guess they weren't getting close to a finish line. They said instead of keep wasting this money, they say, hey, we're just gonna go ahead and cancel this though. And they said they still care about the Prince of Persia series and stuff like that though, but
Yeah. Okay.
because like what the other game that
Look
we
at
had was the what was the name of the game that we had, Steven? The
the Rogue Prince of
yeah,
Persia.
yeah, that one. I
It's like
think
a
that
Dead Cells esque
yeah, that was the
thing.
last thing that we had, which I still need to get around to playing that game. The game still looks cool though, but that Ubisoft being Ubisoft, and I'm like, I don't know. It's only a matter of time before they're either gonna get bought out or that company's gonna get shut down. Because I don't know how you can spend that much money working on a game for 6 years and not have some kind of repercussions for somebody or something or for the company as a whole. I just don't get it. Oh, where?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just Ubisoft bleeding again. Simple as that, really.
yeah, pretty much so. And I was like, I didn't have too much more to say outside of that. So outside of, I just kind of want to keep some people updated though, because yeah, man, Xbox, Ubisoft, lump them together in a nutshell though, because things just ain't kind of going their way. I'm just like, ugh, whatever. All right, we're gonna keep it moving on though. We don't want to get too Debbie Downer though, because Capcom always manages to save the day for the most part though. Because Resident Evil Requiem, it managed to get another little showcase. I think it was only a 15-minute presentation. And Steven, you managed to sit down and watch this, right?
I did. They announced a couple cool things like a watch collaboration, more stuff about the Pro controller and the Amiibo for the Switch one. But the main thing, obviously, was the new details about Resident Evil Requiem. I'm just gonna call it Resident Evil 9, RE9, because RE9. I know you're not very interested in Resident Evil, Zard, but it is a franchise I really like. Every game that I have played, which is 2, 4, 7, and 8. I'm pretty sure there's probably one other one that I'm forgetting. Oh, 5. 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8. I've loved all of those. And I really cannot wait to dig into this game. It looks like it's going to take the horror elements of some of the older games and combine it with the action elements of like Resident Evil 4 and 8, which is all the stuff I like about Resident Evil. It's taking all the best bits of Resident Evil, mashing it together, and the different play styles are gonna have all these options. Like you can play in first person or third person, which is nice to have at launch. Resident Evil Village got that in an update. This game's gonna have it at launch. There's gonna be like different, more advanced, like I guess like AI for the zombies. I think like more different ways to deal with situations or stealth around or the combat. And then there's gonna be difficulty options that are kind of interesting, where you have like how in the old games you had, I don't know if you've ever heard about it, you had to like collect these ink ribbons in order to save.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't remember that.
So basically, in the older games, you had to collect items that let you save. So you only had a limited amount of
Oh,
saves.
that's
These are in like
crazy.
the older, but like that kind of encourages you to use them wisely. It was supposed to be hard. You have an option, at least for the horror sections, because there's the two main characters. There's the girl and there's Leon. And for the girl, you can have a higher difficulty where you have limited saves, just to invoke that classic Resident Evil feel, I guess.
Hmm.
Kind of cool, but like I don't know. Besides that, like I hope there's a harder difficulty like every other Resident Evil once you beat it. If I'm going off of Resident Evil 7 and 8, I'm gonna be very excited for this game.
Hmm.
It's not that much else to say. I'm trying to go in kind of relatively blind. I'm not going out of my way to find info. I'm just looking at what they've put out. I don't even really remember much from the first trailer.
Yeah, I got you. But yeah, this game comes out. What was it, February 27th? Is what I was saying.
Yeah, it's right towards the end of the year.
Uh, the end of the month.
End of the month,
I
sorry.
was about
End
to
of
say
the
we're
month.
still early in this year. We're still in the first month,
Yeah,
Steve.
towards the end of the month.
I just have to remember that because I got that Pro controller. I got it pre-order, so I got to know when that's coming in. Which was kind of funny because when I first pre-ordered that controller, I was thinking it was this black with the Resident Evil, like newspaper styling up on it. It's more like a gunmetal gray. And when I compared it to the standard black one we have, it's actually kind of like a different tonal color, if that's even a thing. But yeah, so it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to getting that. I guess I'm gonna keep this train alive. I'm gonna still probably collect every Switch 2 limited edition Pro controller though. We'll see how many they'll make this time around though. Hopefully not too crazy many though, but we'll see. We'll see. Outside of that, was that all you want to say on that Resident Evil Requiem?
Yeah, there's not much to say. Like, it's still looking pretty good. I guess the only other thing that's interesting is that it's the game that takes place the latest in the timeline.
So I guess Leon's been chilling since like
So
what RE4, and then he's just gonna pop back up in this one.
yeah, because like you might think, oh, it's been a while, right? Like Leon must be super old. Leon in Resident Evil 4 is only like 20, and in Resident Evil 2, I think he's 18. So like he was relatively young when all of the events of those games happened. So he's like still like in his 40s/50s. He's still relatively in his prime by the time this game comes around, which is nice.
Alrighty.
I have no problem seeing Leon again. Like I know most series nowadays they peddle nostalgia back and forth, but Leon is a character that you can just kind of keep doing. Like he's still relatively young, still working for like the agency. That's he's like working for an agency that like fights against like these bioterrorism acts.
Yeah.
So you just keep bringing him back. Like he's one of my favorite Resident Evil characters. He's just so fucking awesome. Why not bring him back?
Yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to see him, and then obviously you have the new girl, so you get the best of both of like a Resident Evil 2 experience with the horror, but also Resident Evil 4 experience with just the action. So I think it should, cater towards pretty much any Resident Evil fan out there, though. So hopefully it turns out for all of the people that will actually go through and play this game. Obviously, you, Steven. And I think that's going to basically do it for that. So now we're going to move on over to the next topic because this ties into the rest of everything else that Dragon Ball we already previously discussed with the anime news. Now we had some gaming related stuff for the 40th anniversary as well because there's a new game project called Age 1000 that was actually revealed, and they gave us like a little CGI cutscene. It was just kind of more so just to say, hey, there's a game project coming. I think the scheduled window frame is sometime of the year of 2027, so not this year. It'll be next year. And I don't know, just looking at that footage and seeing the capsule core, and it looks like a customizable character. It just kind of gives me some Xenoverse 2 feelings and stuff like that. So I imagine the game's probably going to be very similar to that. Probably nothing more crazier than that, is what I'm kind of getting at. Because we're still kind of riding out some of this DLC stuff for Dragon Ball Spark and Zero, which they actually did manage to go through and add in some more DLC characters for that. I don't have that list pulled up right in front of me at the moment, though. But yeah, it's some
Didn't
free
they,
update stuff
didn't they say
for
it's like
that.
a major?
Say what now?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was gonna say, didn't they say it's like a major DLC expansion coming for Sparking Zero?
I just know that we had additional characters that were being added in. Anything beyond that, I didn't see when I was doing that little roundup, all the Dragon Ball
Oh
stuff. There's one dude I kind of looked at.
yeah,
Let me see here.
yeah. I swear that they said it was like a decent size, like the big DLC that everyone's been waiting for was coming soon.
Uh, no, no, I was literally going back through and looking at it. Dang, I don't really see anything outside of that. Let me Google something else here real quick. Um,
I found it just by look. Yeah, Yes, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero major DLC. They're adding Mission 100 and Survival Mode updates.
Which I think the Mission 100 thing
And
was
then
something
yeah,
that was in Budokai Tenkaichi 3. So that's been something that fans are used to or familiar with in some of the past games and stuff like that, though. And then I was trying to figure out,
that's a pretty big update though for a game that's been out for like how long though?
yeah, because it was that
Okay, yeah,
survival
they
mode
showed
will
a
be coming out in 2026, and then obviously some more DLC in the summertime.
yeah, so it's like they got a whole roadmap of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and the all right, here we go. I found the list. The list of all of the DLC characters that we were able to spot. King Piccolo, which is Piccolo from the Daimo series or Daima series. Super Saiyan Bardock. That's always weird. Super Saiyan Bardock. What the freak? Super Android 17. Um, Zanga. Zanga. What the heck? Devilman Spike from the Devilman. Mercenary Tao. Grandpa Gohan. I'm kind of surprised he wasn't already up in there. What the freak? Lord Champa and Pecan. And those were the ones that they were able to spot out as new characters they're going to add into Sparking Zero here fairly soon. So yeah, it's always cool seeing the updates on this. Honestly, that's a game I need to go back around and still mess around with because it's not like a game I 100% because there's so much content up in that game, Steve. And it's like, gosh dang, you be eating on that mess for like days upon days on end though. And I didn't even mess with too much with the online stuff because some people take that game really seriously though. I always like it just to mess around with stuff, do my transformations, get in and get out though. But I still like that game. That game's still a glorious treat just to have that many characters in one game though. But outside of that, that's pretty much all the updates, I think, for pretty much everything Dragon Ball as it stands right now. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Steven?
No, it's cool that they're doing a lot of stuff for the anniversary. Looks like they're doing a decent amount of content for these games. And then that new game, they didn't show much, but I did watch the trailer. It looks so interesting. It's like a new character designed by Toriyama, right? So like this is some stuff he must have worked on before he passed.
Yeah, because he was working on quite a bit of stuff, game wise, animation stuff, obviously stuff with the manga, whatever, though. So yeah, I think we're just seeing some of the last few of his projects because he was working with a lot of stuff before
Yeah,
he
I'm,
happened to go.
and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we'll still see eventually, like stuff that he just started working on.
Mm,
You never know.
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it in terms of that Dragon Ball project, along with DLC for Sparking Zero. So yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of all of that. Now we're gonna move over to another, I would say, a decent chunk of gaming news that's kind of lumped together all in as one because we had that Nintendo Twitter Direct is like what I like to dub it as. And one of the few things we got news of, and I'm pretty sure we'll get news more of probably as soon as tomorrow. But apparently, there's going to be a version 11.0.0 that's going to be coming to Splatoon 3. It's supposed to be dropping out on the 28th, which is literally 3 days from now. So I'm imagining probably some point tomorrow on Monday, the 26th, we might get like the blowout of what the update will actually include, though. But we have an idea of what to kind of expect. And I think this one might be a somewhat bit more of a substantial thing because it says in addition to gameplay balance adjustments, which they always do in all of those updates, there's some exciting modifications to the battle systems that will be added as well. Now, what kind of modifications is it? I don't think it's nothing as grandiose as like, when they first added Clan Blitz into Splatoon 2. Like, I don't think nothing as crazy as that.
It's not gonna be that.
But in terms of changes with the battle system, I'm wondering, is it something with the way how they do like the rank X or something like that? Is it something on the lines of that? Or is it something like minor
You want to
tweaks
know what
where
I
it's
think
like,
it is?
what?
I think they're gonna add a third stage to the rotation, which they should have done a while ago.
Man, if they
They're
do
just gonna
that
make
this
it
late
so
in the game, what the heck?
they've
If they
done
do that, there's got to
weirder.
be
They
more
added
than just
they added
that. But
third kits way later. I don't
mm,
know. I think they, those things. You remember when they did the Splatfests? They added like those sparkler things to the Splatfests. You know what I mean? There was like those weird items that you like throw around during the Splatfest.
Oh, it's like the little bombs. It's like little mini sub weapons. Yeah, they're like tiny
Yeah,
burst bombs. Yeah,
they
I
could
got you.
add like little they yeah they could add like little events that happen during like a turf war maybe or ranked. I think there would just be something that like happens during a battle. I don't think they're gonna like genuinely go in and mess with a bunch of stuff or God forbid add a new mode. But the fact they're even doing this and the fact that it's a full like major 11.0 update, it's gotta at least have something because like the numbered updates so far have always had like a substantial content, the amount of content.
Yeah,
You know, new seasons were numbered updates. The 10th anniversary thing was a numbered update, and then this is also a numbered update, which that will there's a chance I think they said that there's not going to be any new weapons released.
they said
Or
in
but they didn't
addition to
say anything about
gameplay
stages.
balance
There could be new
adjustments,
stages.
some exciting modifications to the battle system will be added as well. So they didn't say in that tweet that no new weapons, no new
Did,
stages were going to
did,
be added. So they could still do that.
okay.
And it's kind of weird because remember way back when the game first came out,
Yeah,
they said
so
they were going to only do like substantial updates, like where have been weapon kits, new stages, stuff like that. Obviously, balance tweaks for currently existing weapons. That was always going to happen until when they don't mess with the game no more. We always going to expect that. But in terms of like major updates like that, the Splatfest, we were all expecting they were going to do it up to 2 years because that's what they said, and they'll recycle Splatfest just for the foreseeable future, just to kind of have people just to go back and do stuff. But ever since like we got the lead up to the Switch 2, and now that we're in it, they've been going back and adding stuff up in this game. Like we had brand new weapon kits coming out for this mess though, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do that as well with this update though. So this game had a lot longer of a active period than obviously than Splatoon 2 ever has. So I was like, well, gosh dang. So we will see exactly what
yeah,
they drop out, and I'm
and
expecting something tomorrow.
I have two things I want to say about this. One, there is one thing they definitely could add that has been in the files since the game launched, which would be the map from Splatoon 2 called the Reef. That's like the starter map from Splatoon
Oh
2.
yeah, that thing. Yeah.
And that has been in the files of Splatoon 3 for a while. And it would make sense because in that last update they gave us Urchin Underpass, which is kind of like the starter Splatoon 1 map.
Yeah.
So give us the starter Splatoon 2 map now. Just just to add content. Like you don't have to fucking do anything.
Well,
You just have to,
they had to do a couple of things for the
just there you
rank
go.
modes, but for the
Port over
turf
the map.
wars,
It's
yeah,
already
no.
a good map. Yeah, I guess so. Well, no, not really, because Splatoon 2 also had Clan Blitz. Just
No, I mean,
literally port it
did it
over.
have?
Just give
Well, no,
Splatoon
Splatoon
3
two
more
had
stuff.
Rainmaker, yeah, with one pedestal. They had to add two pedestals with it being in three now, but just minor stuff
Oh
like
yeah, I
that.
guess. I guess so. Yeah, nothing crazy though, obviously. And either way, um this thing what coming out on the 28th, right?
Yep.
I think it was. Is it 28th? I think that the fact that this is like a major update and they're not giving any details on it kind of makes me think that it possibly could be fully showcased and announced, releasing the same day as some kind of direct, or either a direct or like some more news on Splatoon Raiders. Because like I don't know, especially because the 28th is on a Wednesday. Maybe they announce a direct on a Tuesday, which a lot of people are saying a direct is coming, and then have it air on a Wednesday, show off the Splatoon 3 news. It just feels weird that they're being, doesn't that feel weird that they're being very vague about quote unquote adjustments to battles?
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. I don't know because I mean,
It
when
just doesn't
Splatoon starts releasing
feel
stuff,
right to me.
yeah, because when Splatoon starts releasing stuff, they just put it out, and they start doing their updates on their Twitter stuff, and it's just kind of all there. They drop out a
Well,
trailer, and it just has all the information in it. So I don't expect too many wild things with it. It's nothing
well,
that we hadn't seen before.
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure the 10th anniversary thing was just shadow dropped, or like the announcement. Like they just dropped that.
Yeah, I think they probably just dropped that because
So it's like
they knew they were going to sit on that information with the obviously the spinoff Splatoon game that we're getting. Because I mean, shoot, we don't have any other additional information on that. So they're like, well, let's just lump that in with some new seasonal updates. They just did it all in one go. So I don't know. This one might have a little bit more meat on the bone, but will it
yeah.
have just as much as that one? Because that one was the one that introduced all the additional weapon kits, and we got a new stage and all of that. We will see. We'll see.
Hey, hey, I would love them to make some adjustments that actually make Splatoon 3 worth going back to me, because they just did a lot of stuff in Splatoon 3 I didn't really like.
Hmm. Okay. All right. But I guess that's pretty much it for Splatoon. I like how long we speculated on this thing. We're gonna get our answers probably as soon as tomorrow, though. At least fingers crossed, though, for that, though.
Because it's vague.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like something that we might, could be big, could be small. They're being very intentionally vague about it.
Yeah, but we've been sitting on this for a while though, because what that was a tweet put out almost like a couple of weeks ago. I feels like now, but yep. All right, so that's all the stuff we're gonna say on
Yeah.
Splatoon 3. We'll move on to the next topic in the Nintendo Twitter Direct because oh shoot, this one caught me out of left field because I was like, what the actual freak? Because apparently Donkey Kong Country Returns can never stop returning, man. I'll say that much though. Returns HD to be exact, because it got a free update out of nowhere. I think it was on like a random old Tuesday afternoon, I think is what it was. But like what the heck? Because they literally came out with a trailer, and I was like, wait a minute, because I saw no, I think you tagged me in Discord because I didn't even get to see it on Twitter
Yeah.
or YouTube first. I saw the tag for it. I was like, wait, what is this? And I click on the mess, and then I see Donkey Kong running through the level like normal, and instead of Diddy, we had Dixie show up. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, wait, this ain't Tropical Freeze. And I was like, wait, this is Returns. I was like, the free? They added a whole new character in a game that wasn't even had Dixie Kong playable in it in the original Wii version, or if you wanted to play the 3DS version of this thing, they added a whole stinking new character. They literally ripped her out of Tropical Freeze, same mechanics and all, and threw her up into Returns. I was like, what the freak? I was like, okay. And then obviously it was a Switch 2 update as well. I mean, yes, you can still do some of this updates with the Switch 1, but if you want the visual upgrades and stuff like that, and you download that update on Switch 2, yes, now it's actually being ran in like 4K resolutions and stuff like that, or a grand good solid 1080 if you're doing it in handheld. So that's always a welcome treat though. But they weren't done with the thing yet, because they even added in the option for you to be able to do the game sharing. So unfortunately with this one, me and Steven, we were testing this out. Can't do it online. You can do it locally. So if you want your unique screens and stuff, you gotta be in the same room for that though. But outside of that, they also added in a whole new brand new mode up in the thing where it's like literally you just speed running through the game. Like they literally up the speed by like double. And you're just running through the level as fast as humanly possible. And depending on how quick you can get to the end of the level with the goal, you can either get like a gold status or almost like a silver or a bronze status or whatever though. So I tested that out with like a couple of different levels. I knew I had to do this mess, Steven. I had to test out one of the barrel ride levels. Gosh, those weren't too hard to begin with though. They were actually fairly all right. Some people complain about them, but whatever though. But when I was going through it, I was like, oh gosh, there's a little bit of challenge up in there. Like even to stay straight and not to dip down too hard or go skyward high or anything like that. I had to like butt mash as if like I'm playing a Mario Party mini game just to keep my elevation steady while going through some parts of that level. I was like, oh my gosh. And of
Yeah.
course, I also had to do a minecart level. Oh my gosh. Rest in peace to anybody that wants to go through any of the minecart levels though, because you're going to be on some of them levels for a good long hot minute. Oh my gosh. you talk about some nightmare fuel. I felt like this upped the difficulty of this game like sky high. It was already not the easiest, platforming game you could ever play out there though. But when you're trying to do these speed run things though, like my goodness though. So they gave us quite a bit of stuff to chew on. That's like pretty much the most major bits out of this update though. But this is a substantial update, and I think they did some like minor fixes, Steven, where it's like when you jump on the enemy, if you were playing with two people, it actually makes some of the levels possible to go through it with two people. Whereas I think if you jumped on one of those platforming head dudes, that will happen like just bust down or break apart. Your second player couldn't really bounce off of it. Like there was no like wiggle room for it, so it kind of made some levels impossible to go
Yeah.
through. But now it makes it even more possible. So overall, a really solid update.
Yeah, there's a ton of basically any weird issue that there was originally with this port is now fixed. A lot of graphical issues, that one big co-op issue. Obviously the resolution bump is really nice for an old game like this. You know, especially because this is a Wii game that was ported to 3DS, and then that 3DS version was ported back. So yeah, it kind of looked a little weird. So I'm glad it got that resolution bump. I think it's 4K, maybe either 1440 or 4K
No,
on
it's
TV
4K.
mode.
Yeah, it's 4K.
Looks pretty nice. Okay, yeah, looks pretty nice, and the game always ran at 60, so you know, perfect. And then obviously 1080 60 in handheld is really nice. Dixie Kong is a major update. Like that's not like something small that only affects a certain portion of the game. That affects the entire game. There are now shortcuts that were not possible before because the game was not designed around her. And personally, especially because Returns was already a pretty hard game, I don't think it's that crazy. And obviously, as you mentioned, the turbo attack mode is really stupid, but like I think it's fun. The people that completed this game are not going to be happy though, because the turbo mode has a whole another completion counter and a little icon on your save file.
Hey, you
So
don't
in order
gotta
to
do
truly
it.
complete this game, you have to go through every level. But like if you want to go for 100%, if you want to complete the game, a lot of people like their completion. You gotta do 100% through the entire campaign. Do the like sparkly gold medals on all the time trials, and you gotta get all the turbo attack. So it's definitely a lot. This is like one of the hardest Nintendo games to 100%, honestly. I love this game. I've always loved this game. Tropical Freeze is amazing too. Tropical Freeze is probably just a little lower in my opinion. I have so much more nostalgia for Returns, everything in
Dang, I like how
Returns.
you say that though. But Tropical Freeze, for the longest time before Bonanza came out, that was my or one of top two favorite Donkey Kong games. And
Oh,
in
yeah,
terms of a platformer in general, easily top three
it's
platformers
still
of all
fantastic.
time with Tropical Freeze. I still put that game over Returns though. But with all the stuff they added in this version of Returns, I was like, oh, okay, now it's getting close up to Tropical Freeze now because now we got a little more stuff to chew on though. But it's still a good game.
Yeah, I'm just glad they finally did this update to make the game actually kind of worth being a full price game. Just a little bit. It still should not be 60, but it certainly is more worth it now than it was originally because like this is a substantial amount of content. This is like what they would usually do in a Wii U port just for a
Pretty
free
much,
update.
yeah.
Better late than never. It's kind of weird that it took this long, but like whatever. I'm happy that they did it, and it's definitely now the actual definitive version of this game because in my opinion, either the 3DS one or the Wii one were still superior if you just wanted to play the game,
Yeah.
especially because of the co-op thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's good. Rejoice.
Whew, yep. I'm so glad. And I wasn't expecting to start off the year with Donkey Kong again like this because that's how we started off the year in 2025. But hey, we started the year off with Donkey Kong. We got some good game announcements that were in 2025. We're starting the year off again with Donkey Kong. I expect great things for the rest of 2026. So maybe he's Nintendo's good luck charm, at least for me personally though. So we will see. But yeah, good stuff with that free update. You can obviously get it if you have a Nintendo Switch, or get a little extra bang for it with the visual stuff if you have a Switch too. All right, moving on to the next thing in this Nintendo Twitter Direct. We also managed to get this Mario Kart World update, and in this Mario Kart World update, oh my goodness gracious, it's kind of interesting how it looked like it was like a super major update, but I consider it's like almost like a minor update because they did manage to finally add in team mode to Knockout Tour. So now it's like you can play these games either locally or online in these lobbies. And when you usually play through a knockout tour, it's like almost every man for himself kind of ordeal, and then that was just it, one and done. And when you got knocked out, it didn't matter anymore. That was just your place. Imagine splitting your teams into like teams of 2 or teams of 3, and now you're trying to out compete. And even though you might not get all the way to the finish, as long as you can get as high as you possibly can, then hey, that's all points for your team though. So I'm kind of surprised it wasn't an option up in the game at first, but glad they put it in regardless though. But did you have anything to say on that?
Team racing is a pretty cool feature. Like this isn't. Oh wait, can you hear me? It's kind
Yeah,
of cutting out a bit.
I don't know why, but I guess that's Discord. I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me leave and rejoin in Discord.
All right, so while he's doing that, there he goes.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, technical difficulty, sorry. So yeah, no, this isn't even really a feature I felt was missing. Like I didn't really think Knockout Tour was necessarily too big of a fit because Knockout Tour is kind of like a it's kind of like a battle royale type mode. Like you race for first. You're really going for the first place in that one. But I don't know, a team is still pretty cool because obviously you're going to have those people that get knocked out early, but then you're gonna have those people. Let's just say, for example, Zard, it could be 4 different people from 4 different teams all in that final race. Like rest of the team cheering on. Like even if you get sent out of the race, even if you're on the green team and you get 20th, you can cheer for the rest of the green team. Like go, go, go. Stay in the race.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like it's based on score, I think, tallies up the score based on your positions. So it definitely is a cool feature. I'm glad they added it. It's nothing I'm really gonna use because it's like, you gotta get like however you gotta get a lot of people together to really take advantage of that with Knockout Tour. You need 24. And it's either that or fill a bunch of CPUs. Either way though, I'd rather have it than not have it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. Yeah, because it's always better to have more options than not. And I feel like that's just how Mario Kart World is. They're just going to keep sprinkling some stuff here and there until a significant amount of time goes by, and then they're going to hit us with a big update on something. I don't know. I feel like that's how they're
Well,
kind of
yeah,
handling Mario Kart
there's
World.
there's a reason why it's all 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 because like 2.0 will be that first big update.
Yeah.
And it's sad that like come on, this is just like a toggle. It could not have taken long for them to implement this. So it really does feel like all of this stuff was like cut out because they had to rush to launch the Fit Switch 2. That's what it feels like. It feels like Mario, like at this point with all of the stuff they have added after launch, Mario Kart World was definitely somehow a rushed game that they're completing afterwards, which is sad, but like, better late than never. Just get it in there. I'd rather the game just have it.
Yeah, no, that's true. All right. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. It's a very simple update for Mario Kart World. So if you got the game, obviously, you may want to check that out if that piques your curiosity. All right, now this one is a lot of meat to chew on that gosh dang bone because we finally got some more information on Super Mario Brothers Wonder at Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and we actually managed to get a release date for this as well because that's the whole content that included all of the meetup in Bellabelle Park. We got to see the inclusion of Rosalina. Got to see her in action now versus just them flat out saying, "Hey, that's just gonna be a character playable up in there." They show all of the different like park attractions and stuff like that, and I don't know. It's kind of giving me some reminiscent feels and some vibes that kind of like the same content that we had for like, remember way back when, Steven, with like Luigi's Mansion 3, how there was like some things you were able to do online with the scare scraper, but then there was like a lot of different modes that you had available, but they were only available for you to be able to play in locally. Kind of got the same kind of vibe with Super Mario Brothers Wonder, which I know I might be
Yeah,
able to mess with some of
and
that stuff locally, but I wish a lot of that stuff locally you are able to still do online. But yeah.
yeah, I really don't like that, in my opinion, especially because this is all new content that you have to pay for. You can't just only buy the new Koopaling stuff or this and that. Like you have to buy all of this together as the Switch 2 edition. You know, it's kind of like the Jamboree thing. Remember how with Jamboree, like even if you don't care about the Jamboree TV, you gotta buy it if you want the other Switch 2 perks.
Oh, like if you wanted to
So
play
it's like,
the mini
it's
games with
kind of
a
annoying,
Joy-Con, yeah.
especially because like, yeah, and especially because in my opinion, Mario Wonder's multiplayer already was kind of lacking, and like getting local people local together is gonna be a bit of a task. Yeah, especially it's also a bit more egregious because the more than half of the mini games are locked behind local. There's no way that they couldn't have worked online. You know, like what? That makes no sense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and I get
I
it. And
don't
then
like it personally.
there's some mini games that you obviously are able to do online, and even with those ones online, it's not like you get the same kind of interaction that you were playing with Super Mario Bros. Wii or Super Mario Bros. U, where you're able to actually interact with the people, pick them up, throw them off of ledges or whatever. Though, like you can't do that even with the online stuff. It's still kind of the same way how when you run through the regular
Yeah.
main story, where you get like ghosts that are kind of almost running along with you and you kind of almost interact. It's not really like a real interaction, but whatever you want to call it. You just get to see them there in the background while you're still trying to run through the level. Though maybe they just do that in the sense that you can fit more people in one gaming session and slash or that you just don't have to worry about the connectivity, maybe frame drops, whatever connection status while you're trying to play through a platforming game. Because you know if connectivity starts becoming too big of an issue with the platforming games, they could just throw off the whole level. So I don't know. Maybe they're kind of scared of that. Maybe that's the reason why we got more stuff locally versus features that you have online. That's at least what I'm thinking though. But then also they managed to showcase off like you
Yeah.
mentioned before the Koopalings. I think that's probably the biggest, like, unfortunately, the biggest main addition that would be to just the standard main story of the Super Mario Bros. Wonder game. Because I guess they just give you incentive to go back to those levels, find those Koopalings, and get new Wonder effects up in there. I think that's like the main draw for it.
Well,
I,
it's kind of answering a criticism of the original game not having that unique of boss fights and not really using the wonder effects during the boss fights that well,
yeah, because I'm trying to recall some of them. I
in a
think some of
way.
them
Because like
had
these are
some
all
good
gonna
ones,
be,
but
yeah. From what I see, it's looking like these are gonna be like either boss fights or like levels where you deal with the Koopalings as you play. Either way, it's more content. Like that's like actual stuff to do that you can do by yourself. Because like this is like a very multiplayer focused expansion for the most part, which is kind of disappointing. I would have loved an actual focused single player expansion, but like whatever.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe they're just holding out on this, and then they just had to meet up in Bellabore Park thing as an additional thing. They just showed that off first, and then they were gonna go back and hit us up with all of that stuff later on. But that was certainly not the case. So this is what it is. Not expecting any more big updates from this or anything additional to it. We're pretty much looking at everything within this Switch 2 edition outside of what could be improved graphically or frame rates for this, which I'm fully expecting. They just didn't say it in this thing. But I'm fully expecting, obviously, the game will run up to 4K dock. And I'm hoping that there's like a 120 FPS mode up in there because they show that mess off, like showing off 120 FPS or at least a render of Mario from Mario Wonder. And that Switch 2 presentation where they actually showed off the hardware for the
Yeah.
first time. So I'm thinking I think that's still going to be a
So
thing.
So here's the thing. On the fucking website, it says it's going to be in 4K resolution, but then they specifically state it's going to have smoother frame rates, which, like, Mario Wonder never dropped frames. That game never went under 60, maybe on
I
the occasion, like once in a while. But like it hardly ever dropped frames. So it could just mean a rock solid 60 with 4K, or it could mean a toggleable 120 mode. But at the same time, that why would Nintendo not advertise that in the overview trailer?
Yeah,
They
I don't know.
advertised
It
4K.
is a little weird because I mean they fully. I remember just thinking back to the Metroid Prime 4 footage. They fully just straight up said 120 FPS in some of their marketing material and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's not like they would be adverse to not saying it. So
I guess the main thing for me is that none of these basically Metroid Prime 4 is the only big Nintendo released game to support the 120 so far. So like who knows if any other games are really gonna support it yet. I don't know. I'm gonna go in not expecting 120, and if I get surprised, nice. Otherwise, like the 4K bump is probably one of the more interesting things about the Switch 2 edition, because Mario Wonder was already a beautiful game, but it looked a little fuzzy on Switch 2 specifically.
yeah, at least when I was going through and playing through, I don't. Well, there might have been a little times though, but not too bad from what I can remember though. But yeah, that's pretty much all we had on it. Once again, like a lot of these Switch 2 updates, if you're just looking to get the new content and you already had the base game, it's only gonna be like an additional 20 more bucks. But if you want to get the whole thing packaged on a cartridge all in one, just like how the Super Mario Party Jamboree thing was, it's gonna be $80 to get the base game plus Bella Bell Park if you're buying it off of retail shelves.
Jesus Christ. This one, I don't. I think this one should have been 10. Like, I know it's got content technically that's included, but like, oh my god, Nintendo. It's certainly a business model, not one I like.
Yeah, because I think if you look back to Metroid Prime 4, if it's just visually or like Pokemon Legends EA, if it's just mostly all visual but not actual, what you can almost consider as DLC content, it's only an additional 10. When they do visuals and they giving you new content and they thinking 10 and 10 and that's 20. That's just what I've been
And then you
noticing.
have and then you have Animal Crossing, which adds the mouse controls, adds the resolution, but it's still only 5.
Now that one was really weird. That's the odd duck, and I feel like they
Maybe
only
because the
did that
frame rate
because
wasn't increased. What?
I feel like the main reason why they may have done that is just because they know how many people are actually playing or not playing, but own that game in general. Not every one of those players that will actually mess around with that new update will probably have Switch 2s to fully take advantage of all of that stuff. So they're like, and it was like the highest selling game. They knew they could still make a good amount of money anyway. So maybe they're just like, we'll just cut y'all a bone and only charge 5, since a lot of the updates and
No,
stuff were
then
free updates
okay.
anyway. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Nintendo ain't cutting anyone a bone. I'm pretty sure they charged it 5 because they knew they couldn't get away with 10. Like, come on, who's gonna pay $10 just to make Animal Crossing and not even 60 FPS? It's 4K 30. You gotta remember that. They couldn't even bump it up to 60 FPS. I don't know if it's an engine
I think
thing,
it's something with tied into like maybe some of the animations of
but
some of the characters
uh,
or some of the actions.
it's still stupid. So many other games get around this. Like I don't know. I feel like it's worth the amount of effort they have to put in, but whatever. Nintendo obviously didn't think it was too much of a priority, so they charged less. So I guess hopefully the Mario Wonder one actually does have a significant performance boost. I would love the 120 mode. Like it would look beautiful in it, like
Mm-hmm.
handheld, for example, 1080 120. And then I guess I'm pretty sure the Switch can technically handle up to 1440p 120, I think it is. It's either 1080 120 or 1440 120 it can support.
Yeah,
It's one
that'd be
of the
the
two.
high. Yeah, that'd be the highest. Yeah, but yeah,
So we'll see if Mario Wonder can get to one of those.
yeah. All right, so that will basically do it in terms of all of our Super Mario Brothers Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 editions. That's a weird old tie. Super Mario Brothers Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Meetup and Bella Bell Park. Oh golly. Anyway, though, I
I hate
digress.
these titles.
No, it's crazy. You thought Jamboree TV was bad. This is horrendous. All right, but anyway, that's
Every
gonna.
TV is pretty simple.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I still thought it was a little too much word salad, but this one's just like baloney. But yeah, so that's all we got to say
Yeah.
on that. And I think that pretty much concludes the Nintendo Twitter Direct. But now we can move to an actual Direct, but not one that's dedicated on the game per se. On their animation side, anything that's non-related to a game. Because we did manage to get a Mario Galaxy movie Direct. And that information literally dropped today. And I was sitting down and watching that trailer, and I told you this, Steven, for the longest, I can't say the longest time, but I called it a few days ago when we were talking about it in Discord and the call with all the other, with all of our other buddies. They're only going to show character-wise that were new. Y'all were thinking and expecting somebody like a Wario or something like that. I was like, no, they're only going to show Yoshi, and that was going to be it. For the most part, though. We did get pleasantly surprised with one more additional character, but not going to probably be really important to the main plot of, the characters and stuff. Birdo was also shown in this thing, though. But besides them two, along with some other like small cameos from other, some minor games or whatever, though. But that's mostly it, or at least the main thing I pulled out of this thing. It's been mostly all focused on Yoshi.
Yeah, and Birdo's probably not even gonna have a speaking role. Like it was the whole section was
Kind of like the
based off of
Diddy
Mario
Kong
Bros.
thing in the
2.
first game. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting.
But yeah, I did like the
But
new.
besides that,
Oh,
though,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like the trailer itself. I do like the trailer. It was a good trailer.
Yeah, it was a solid, nice little 2-minute trailer. I mean, it kind of got out with your information. You weren't really expecting too much more. And I think this is probably like the last time we're going to see like an actual quote unquote direct, which is just a trailer drop for the Mario movie. You might get some
Yeah,
minor stuff where they're just throwing like an extra scene here or there, or throw different montages from different clips that we already seen. But in terms of like an important trailer, this is probably the last one we're going to get because this movie does come out in April. So
yeah,
it's right around the
and
corner now. Only got to wait a few more months.
I do think there is stuff that they're not telling us. I still genuinely do believe Wario's in this, and they're just holding on to it.
No, I feel like if Wario was a major key player, that's like them putting Rosalina and Bowser Jr. up in the thing. They will actually
I
say
guess
who's
so.
voicing that.
Maybe. Either way though, like definitely am excited for the movie. I think it's gonna be a little too packed, if you ask me. Like you have Rosalina, Bowser Jr. Peach is off doing her own thing in this casino area, and like we've seen her in a couple other areas in the original trailer. You have Bowser also tagging along due to the like there was some leaks like of like food products like product placements, and like tiny Bowser is like traveling with the gang as well.
Oh, bro.
And then obviously introducing Yoshi, you having Mario and Luigi together in this one, plus Captain Toad and like the Toad Brigade from what it looks like.
Now,
There's just a lot of characters in this one.
hey, I'm telling you,
The
Captain
Donkey
Toad is
Kong's probably
OP.
not gonna be there.
Captain
The
Toad is
Donkey
OP.
Kong,
I don't think Donkey Kong's in this thing because remember
yeah,
how we were thinking that there's probably gonna be a dedicated Donkey Kong movie.
there will.
So I'm thinking, hey, if they got that planned out, there's no need to kind of put him back into the second movie. Pull him out, make room for people like Rosalina Bowser Jr. this time around, and Donkey Kong will get his own spotlight in his own movie later on. I'm thinking that's what they were thinking.
Yeah, probably, and that's a better idea. But either way, the movie's gonna have a lot going on, and we still know nothing about the plot, so it's definitely kind of worrying. Might be a little cluttered.
Hey, it might be as long as the pacing's all right. Like it doesn't move too fast. It doesn't feel like it's skipping any corners. That'll be my main thing. But as long as they can accomplish that, then I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. And can I quickly mention something we forgot to bring up?
Oh, what you forget this time, Steven?
Well, not me, but like the Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition, we're getting coinciding amiibo with that.
Oh shoot! All right, yeah. Let's back it up here. Let's back it up here. I had that thing on the thing, and I completely skipped over that too. All right, we're rewinding
You're
back a little
fine.
bit. Yeah. So there were new amiibos that were announced for this thing. You had one that's Elephant Mario, which I'm like, okay, that kind of gives. You had another one that's what's that creature called? Steven Poppin? Poppin starts with a P. Poppin, I
Yeah,
think.
I think Poplin and then Prince
Poplin.
Florian.
Yeah, so you had that, and then the third one, and the most important one, you had Captain Toad, and then obviously you got the Talking Flower. But Captain Toad has his own stinking amiibo. I already pre-ordered that one because out of the three, I was like, that's the most important one right there. Because y'all don't sleep on that Captain Toad game you can get on the Nintendo Switch, man. While I might have only bought it for $3 or $4, it's probably the best $3 or $4 I ever spent, and 100% of the game too. That game, it's a chef's kiss, and he even got the Switch 2 update, so you're actually able to play it with Game Share and everything. Now, that's a great game. Everybody should get that game. I don't care. Get the DLC too. The DLC is cheap. You can buy that mess for $2 or $3 though. Game's phenomenal. But anyway, Captain Toad's OP, so that's why I got that Amiibo on pre-order though. As for the other two, I don't think I'm gonna get the other ones because man, all these Amiibo are like stupidly expensive nowadays. Though, if I ever caught the Elephant Mario Amiibo going on sale for a decent price, then maybe. But until then, nah. Popping, I don't even care about that thing. Were you gonna
Yeah,
get
I
any
don't
of
know. I don't
those?
know. I might get the Captain Toad one, maybe. But like, yeah, who the fuck is buying the Poplin and Prince Florian amiibo? I don't know.
Mm-mm.
They're
No, it couldn't
actually
be
an
me.
okay price, by the way, like 25 each.
Yeah, 25. I'm just used to the
Oh,
days when it's like $16, but
yeah. They passed, sadly. Oh yeah, and then Talking Flower is getting his own little just thing, little talking flower to put in your room. Let him talk.
now luckily this thing don't cost you like $100. It's not gonna set you back that much. It's only like $35 this time. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God.
So you're getting it right, Steven? Someone's got to talk about this, miss.
Probably whatever.
I was
Like
about to say
for the
I got
35.
the alarmo so we could talk about this mess. It's your turn now. You got to get the talking flower. Hey, that's gonna be a perfect companion piece for you, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so Steven's gonna keep us. You heard it here first. Steven's gonna keep us updated on the talking flower. See how much it talks. See if it says anything cool, unique, or whatever. Though, it'll help him get through his day.
I'll let you know.
All right, so I think that's about it. I think we covered everything now. I'm surprised we almost slipped up and didn't include that. So yeah, so that's it for the Mario Brothers Wonder stuff. We should be fine with that now. Now back to the Mario Galaxy movie. I don't think I had anything else to add on extra unless you thought of anything else, Steven.
No, I
All
think
right.
that's all.
All right. Well, that's going to do it right there. All right. So that's it in terms of all of the gaming news that I have for y'all tonight. Now we're going to roll it over into the next and last major segment of the show, that being the year end review part two. We already talked about part one between all the games that we got between January and June. Now we're going to conclude the rest of the year for 2025, everything from July all the way up to the end of December, though. So now I got to roll it up here on my little list here and see all the games we got them from July onward. So, rewind the clock back. July 17th. That's when we had the release for Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, dang. That was, honestly, in a lot of ways, I almost kind of wish that was the launch title instead of Mario Kart World. But I can understand why Mario Kart World was, because
Yeah.
I felt like when we got this title, I was like, dang, this is what the Switch 2 is really capable of in terms of like a really cool and a really unique first party experience. Closest thing that you will have to a 3D Mario game, but would it still be in the IP of Donkey Kong? And gosh, that this game brought tears to my eyes at some moments though. The best of what you can go through and do in terms of like having a Donkey Kong experience with some Mario elements up in there, some tiny bits of Zelda elements up in there as well, and then like Hulk, like the Incredible Hulk. all wrapped up into one. And you wouldn't think that combination would work, but it did work. I love Pauline. Yeah, she did talk quite a bit though, but I mean, she was there for the ride. I love every aspect of it. And it's one of those few games. I don't say that about a lot of games just in general that I went through and 100% because I just love the heck out of this game.
I really like the game. Obviously, it's a very fun game, mind you. It also um has it's amazing in its visuals. It's just the second coming of Mario Odyssey. This is my game of the year, by the way. Okay, second coming of Mario Odyssey right here. Great visuals, good music. A very fun gameplay. This game lends itself extremely well to just casual play. Mindless breaking shit is really fun. It's obviously got a ton of fun, tightly designed challenges that you can kind of do whatever way you want. It's a very free game. It makes you feel powerful, being able to do things the way you want, smash through the environment. You can pulverize through everything. This game is extremely fun to speedrun because you just kind of forge your own path. You don't have to collect any bananas. It's like, oh, get to where you need to go as fast as you can. And then the bonanzas also play a good part in making you feel so very powerful as Donkey Kong, whether it's jumping super high, flying across the map, you know, running across the map with Zebra, which Zebra's probably the least useful one in the game, but still. And then obviously Elephant can just suck up whatever it wants, lava, no problem. And and they just feel really nice, all of the Bonanza forms. And then without saying much, because I guess the grace period is not over,
It is
the
not
ending
over.
of the game. The ending of the game, everything involving the end of the game, it's just so good. It elevated it from just being an amazing game to being my game of the year.
Yeah, no, it was already a 10 out of 10 game. When I saw that whole ending and stuff, and there was one point I literally jumped out of my chair, and I think I almost flipped the chair over during that ending sequence. I'll go ahead and say that that's probably like one of the best finales of a game. Period. I probably have ever played. Doesn't matter if it's a Nintendo, a PlayStation, an Xbox game, or some other random third-party game. It's hard for me to react like that while going through and playing through a game. And I was like, and it just did it for me with that one game. So I was like, yes. So if you have a Nintendo Switch 2, gosh dang it, while you're already getting Mario Kart World included within most of y'all Switch 2s, Donkey Kong Bonanza is a must play over pretty much any other Switch 2 exclusive game that you could probably be playing on that thing right now. You got to pick that up. Luckily, every now and then I've been checking the charts for this game, and it's still been kind of ranked up high. I think right now, as of the time of this podcast, when I checked the eShop, I think it's ranked at number 3. Because right now, I think, right, I think, what was it? Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is like at number 1 right now. Something else at number 2, and then I think Donkey Kong Bonanza was at number 3. And surprisingly, like Mario Kart World's at like number 6. But yeah, so great stuff right there. Great stuff. And what a way to start off the second half of the year. Moving on to July the 24th, we had a release of a Switch 2 edition for Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV. I remember we all got this, me, you, even Kyle included, and we actually got to go through and play through some of this stuff with the mouse control mini games. I feel like that's the most we kind of got out of it, outside of the visual stuff, which at the time I still had my 1080p TV, so I can even get the visual stuff out of it. Now I actually can. But I think that's the most we were able to do off of it. We played like a handful of sessions. I want to say 4 or 5, if I'm not wrong, Steven. Roughly around there.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. We played a decent amount.
so overall, I would say that DLC and stuff, it was nice. Kind of wish you had a little bit more out of it, like maybe an additional board or whatever, though. But I mean, you still had the original 7 that the game already came included with it, though. So, it's just a nice little something to kind of chew upon, I think. And in a time period where there weren't too many games coming out for the Switch 2 outside of some of the stuff that happened at launch. But you got
Yeah,
in.
no, it certainly is an upgrade. Like I like the mouse mini games. I think the mouse mini games are a fun addition. I personally have not played Jamboree TV with family or anything, so I can't really say anything about that.
Oh yeah,
And
because they
then
had the
the
camera
actual
controls
game,
too. Yeah.
yeah, and then the actual game gets a nice resolution bump, especially if you're playing in Jamboree TV. You get a nice bump. Otherwise, the game itself is still upgraded to 1080 across the board. It
And
was
that
a little
upgrade
disappointing that
across the
launch.
board for that 1080 was like after this release. Remember,
Yeah,
it wasn't even
that's
at
what
the
I was.
launch of this. Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Is it took them a little long to do it, but they eventually did it.
Mm. But what was the other thing you're about to say?
Oh no, that was it really.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, that was just a nice little addition. Just another first party game to kind of go back and revisit back in July, and those were like the first couple of first party stuff that we had. The end off the month of July on July 31st, we had Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Oh shoot! Now you talk about an indie. It was like indie-ish vibe that you kind of got, but it paid homage to like the original Ninja Gaiden games that you had back on the NES. The combat was fluid, moving back and forth between like controlling. Primarily, you control as one of the characters though, but both the two different characters you kind of bounce back and forth between. They had certain different abilities that were tied to it, and you got to map them to certain buttons or whatever you want to choose though. But that was a very nicely packed 5 to 10 hour adventure, but you can go back through and replay it how many ever times you want. But like, oh my gosh, like that was a game I still vividly remember going through and playing, and I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. A lot more than what I thought I would have, with it being just a standard like 2D Ninja Gaiden game. But gosh, that was great. That game was amazing, and it's a game that you still need to sit down and play through all, Steven, because it was kind of weird because the way how they handled it with the Switch 2, it was like a 30 FPS mode at launch originally, and it wasn't until like a handful of weeks later then they went back and updated it if you had the Switch 2, and it bumped your frame rate all the way up to 60. At that point, that's when I picked up the game because I wanted to get it on Switch 2.
Yeah, no, it was really disappointing when I bought it, and it was just ran like shit.
But when are you gonna get back
I
to playing
remember
this
telling
game?
you all about it. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Eventually, eventually, I'll get back to it. I don't know when, but I will.
Oh gosh, man, you're missing out on some good stuff right there. All the levels were nicely pitted. I mean, the bosses were challenging to where some bosses I think it would take me like 5, 6, going on like 7, 8 times or something like that. But man, man, that was just a great game. If you're looking for a tightly knitly packed action game that's just a 2D adventure style thing, but you just kind of hacking and slashing, going through some stuff, check that game out. I don't think it's gonna fail to disappoint pretty much anybody out there though. But yeah, that was another personal highlight for me, at least in the month of July when it released. But I don't think I was actually playing the game until like middle of August though. But yeah, speaking of August, we'll roll over to the next month. Remember August 14th, we had to release a Drag X Drive. Oh shoot, Steven. How many times have we played that game together? Once? Have you played it any other times outside of that one interaction that we
Yeah,
did?
no.
That's gonna be enough said right there. It's a novel concept with the fact that you're able to play that wheelchair basketball and stuff, it fully felt like a gaming experience. I was trying to showcase off what the Joy Cons can do, what the mouse controls and all of that. I'll give it that, but like unless you have like the proper setup, and I still felt like I kind of had the ideal setup. I could just move my keypad out of the way, use the monitor that I use on my PC, dock my Switch 2 up in it, and boom, I'm playing on an actual desk. But even then, I felt like that was just a lot of work to play that game. I was just like, I can see why a lot of people just didn't gravitate towards this, and why it only cost like what, $20, and then that was it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just not a game I feel like playing. It's really that simple.
Yeah, I was hoping that we would have just got a little bit more kick out of it, but it is what it is. All right, moving on to the next thing. August 26th, if you happen to be an Xbox fan, Gears of War Reloaded actually managed to drop out on that day. And kind of interestingly enough, I think you're actually able to get that on PlayStation as well, though. So it's like, hey, if you want to try out the Gears series, hey, there you go. Doesn't matter where you play it at now. Xbox is going full third party here fairly soon. Now, who knows when, but I imagine that announcement will come sooner rather than later. On August the 27th, that's where we had our next Switch 2 edition game because that's the release date that we had Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Starcross World. That was one of those Switch 2 editions where I was like, I looked at it, I was like, looks nice, but there ain't no way I'm going back and playing through Forgotten Land. I'm just kind of done with the game though. But Steven, that was a game you thoroughly enjoyed, so I'll let you talk about your experiences on that one.
Yeah, so Forgotten Land is probably the best Kirby game, like objectively, but like Superstar Ultra is still my personal favorite for nostalgia's sake. Either way, from the Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a very great Kirby game. It needed the 60 FPS desperately though for me to replay it, and I did. And I did replay it when it got the 60 FPS, and I did try the DLC. The game runs beautifully at 1440p 60 now. It looks amazing, runs really nice. It really annoyed me because the menus ran at 60 on the original, but the game ran at 30. So now everything is the way it should be. Everything's running nice. And then I guess the only issue is that like Starcross World is good, but like it's not what I had hoped necessarily. Like if we're talking about like Kirby wise, like there was a lot of stuff that they were teasing with a certain character, and then that certain character never showed up. Felt a little misleading. And like it's okay. It was it gave us like a harder it was a harder difficulty for the like final arena challenge. Gave like new levels, new abilities to use in those levels, but it didn't really wow me because it half of the DLC was just reusing other levels assets. It didn't feel like something that was worth $20, but it was good. I had fun with it. The new levels they added were pretty good. I'd say as an overall package, it makes Forgotten Land better, but like it's not like I don't know, it's not crazy. It's definitely a bit like of one of the weaker Switch 2 editions. Either way, I'm just glad it happened in general, so more people were able to experience this game. $80 though is a fucking lot, Nintendo.
Yeah. So overall, not bad for a Kirby experience though, but at least it gave some people that really liked themselves Kirby and Forgotten. I think the biggest thing out of that thing was just the fact that it just had that 60 FPS up on there though. So people that are like strictly for 30, hey,
Yeah.
you got your 60. But I think outside of that, that's pretty much it for Kirby. So we'll move on to literally a day later on August the 28th. That's when you had the release of Metal Gear Solid Delta. Sometimes I almost forget that I played this game though, but it was a really nice game when I was going through and playing through the game because I never played pretty much for the most part. Never really played a Metal Gear Solid game whatsoever, but I know that with Metal Gear Solid 3, even though they call this one Delta for the remake, it's at the very beginning of the timeline and it's a lot of fans' favorite. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll try this out. I got it. I remember other buddy Santa Q, he got it as well. The story is really good. I can see why a lot of people like this. And I'm always down for like a stealthy, spyish, almost spyish, but it was more like a stealthy experience. Getting in and out, doing your kills, infiltrating certain stuff, getting it, the information you need, and then getting out of the level. I'm always down for a game like that every now and then. And this one didn't disappoint. It was kind of weird because it took a while for them to give out the online multiplayer thing later on, which I think now that's actually accessible now. But yeah, Konami coming out the grave a little bit and giving the people what they want with some of this stuff though. So yeah, I really like my experience on that. And I don't think you got this game, Steven. I don't think you did, right?
No, I have the original. I'm gonna
Okay.
eventually get to on PS2,
All right. But yeah, so
but like yeah,
hmm, okay. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I had to say on Metal Gear Solid Delta. Really great game. cutscenes and stuff were phenomenal and stuff like that. I'm just kind of surprised I wasn't really spoiled on pretty much any of the elements of the game, considering how long this thing has been around for so long though. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had in terms of the August release dates. Let's go ahead and start looking at the month of September because on September 4th, oh, you had the big one, the Big Bang Kahuna, the thing that everybody was talking about in their mama for directs upon end for like the better part of I don't know how many years it's been, but it's probably been since like the Nintendo Switch was even a thing. And yes, I'm referring to the Holy Grail, Hollow Knight Silksong. It came out on September 4th last year, and it actually went to be a contender for Game of the Year because it was just that highly anticipated. Obviously, that's not a game series I managed to get myself up in, but Steven knows a little bit more about that, so I'll let him have it.
So Hollow Knight, the first one, I was never really that fond of it for a while, but I went back and revisited Hollow Knight earlier this year, replayed through that, and I enjoyed it a lot more. I did thoroughly enjoy my time with Hollow Knight. I did not complete Silk Song. It was kind of being annoying. It was very hard, but like not really in the fun way of hard. It felt like unfair. Like okay, this is just kind of bullshit hard, and I like lost all my stuff. So I
Oof.
kind of just gave it up for now. But I'm gonna eventually go back to it. But from what everything I've heard from other people, Silk Song is just more Hollow Knight. Like it's just another Hollow Knight game. Everything you like about Hollow Knight is also there. It's a totally new experience, but it's still like similar. Um, it definitely already like just from the beginning snapshot I played, it was more interesting to me than Hollow Knight originally was. More interesting areas, more interesting premise, better move set from the bat. Like I am having fun with the game from the little I played.
Hmm.
I got it on Switch too. It looks very nice, obviously. 4K 60 or you could run it 1080 120. And yeah, it's a nice game. It's great looking. Um, I liked the characters I met so far. I just gotta get back to it. It's not even a game that I necessarily didn't like. I just got annoyed by it one day, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll come back to it." And then a bunch of other shit came out after.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, because maybe someday I'll come around and actually try to attempt to, go through and try out the Hollow Knight series, with Hollow Knight and then obviously Silk Song. Eventually, maybe I'll get around to it, but at least for the time being, I hadn't really messed around with it too much though. But yeah, so we had that game came out on September 4th. For some people, they might be anticipating this game. I don't think it's a game that me and Steven necessarily played though. But Borderlands 4, I know a lot of people probably been waiting on the next Borderlands game, but that came out on September 12th. So is this a reminder for some people out there? Yeah,
Yeah,
that actually came out that last year though. From everything I heard, I think a lot of people liked it. It wasn't nothing like controversial, which a lot of these games nowadays though, something controversial happens in the game and it's just always an online Discord or whatever though. But yeah. And then on September the 25th, we had the release of Hades 2. I remember that first Hades game when it came out. It went to be like a contender of game of the year. It was highly talked about. So this was the other sort of kind of indie game along with Hollow Knight that was like highly anticipated. Steven, did you manage to get this? I couldn't remember if you're like a big Hades fan on this one.
I so I did like Hades. I played Hades and I did like it. I never I didn't really play through it that much though. I beat it once and I really did not replay it as much as I play other roguelikes. I don't know. I think it's great, but like I didn't really think it was really that fun as a roguelike. It's like I don't know, at least not something I can play over and over and over again. I'll eventually get Hades too, but it is not a game I am rushing to get.
Okay.
Everything I heard, like everyone said, it was good. I don't know. It just made a lot less of a splash than the first one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting to. It's not as big, and I feel like that's always the case with at least with a lot of indie games for the most part. There's some exceptions like a Hollow Knights or whatever though, and your Silk Songs, but for the most part, the monumental impact is usually always on the first. It's not usually ever on a sequel for the most part. But yeah, so that game came out September
Yeah.
25th. Also on September 25th, we had the release of Silent Hill F. And that was, the brand new Silent Hill game. I know our buddy Santa Q played through that game, I'm pretty sure. And I don't think that was a game that either one of us played, though. But for
Yeah,
Silent Hill fans, I know that they were highly anticipating this because, it's been mostly a dormant series before they had like the remake of the second game. Now the inclusion of this, and they had some other little mini projects along the way though, and some interactive experiences. But yeah, if you're a Silent Hill fan, you're eating pretty good right before that Halloween month. So you had some stuff to actually chew on right
yeah.
there.
So from what Sanik told me, and from what I've seen, it was a good one. People liked it a lot.
Yeah, so
It seemed creepy in the couple times I looked at gameplay. But like, yeah, it's not. I don't really get spooked by games, but I could totally see someone like screaming while playing this, just with how like eerie it is.
mm-hmm. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for that. Oh gosh, another game that really there was a lot of games that dropped on September 25th. Also on that day,
Yeah,
and this is the one that you've been playing to there and back. Sonic Racing Crossworlds came out on that day as well. Now, that wasn't a game
yeah.
that
So
I went through and played myself. Maybe I'll pick it up eventually if it goes on sale. But I remember messing around with the demo and stuff whenever it was in the lead up to launch. It was a nice experience though, but I don't know. I just don't gravitate towards pretty much any Sonic racing game though. But Steven, you've been playing the heck out of it.
yeah, no. So I'm not gonna dwell too much on it, just because we have a lot to go through. But like, yeah, I have a lot of hours in this game. I've been playing all the monthly events, trying out all the characters, got most of the achievements, got all the time trials. It's definitely got a decent amount of content. It is a fun game, and it's just got some of the most fun, addicting arcade racing I could have played in a game in a while. I definitely find myself coming back to this more than I do Mario Kart, only because this game is more engaging in terms of the variety of content it has to offer. Different things to do, a lot of characters, a lot of carts you can mess with. The gadget system is really fun for making every race kind of feel different. And then the cross world, basically the whole cross world thing is, first lap will be Green Hill, just as an example. Lap could be Green Hill, second lap could be something completely different, and then you go back to Green Hill for the final lap.
Hmm.
And then that second lap, there are certain courses that can only be cross worlds. So you have a lot of unique courses. It just adds a lot of much needed variety to the race. So like every race will be different. Even if you start on Green Hill, you can get a portal and you can go through and you'll be at a place from Unleashed. Just as an example. It's a really fun game. Um Eventually get it when it's on a sale. I do think it's quite, it's a modern game. It's a little pricey. This game will eventually go on a pretty good sale. Just wait till like the whole package is like $20.
Yeah, and I
It's
felt
great
like
though. I want them
recently
to do
they
more
just put
content.
out the what was it, the Switch 2 edition physical, or is it still
Yes.
on the way, or is it already released? I can't
No,
remember.
it released.
Okay.
It released.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird how they put it out at launch as a, I think just as only as a Switch 1 SKU. Later on, then the Switch 2 SKU came, but it was like DLC, or
Well,
not DLC. It was the digital edition only, and then now we're finally getting the physical version for the Switch 2 one. So it's like, oh goodness.
yeah, it was annoying because yeah, technically for the longest time you could not get, like, when this game launched, there was no Switch 2 edition. You could play the Switch 1 edition on your Switch 2 though. And that was annoying because if the game launched on Switch 2, I definitely would have gotten it on Switch 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks.
All right, but yeah, so that ended all of the games that came out on September 25th. That was a lot to chew on that one day. Then
Yeah.
on September 26th, you had the release of Pac-Man World Repack 2. I know some people
I
might have
never
liked that. Didn't you say
yeah,
you
so
said you wanted to get that?
I did get it. I
Okay.
played through like maybe half of it. I did really like the game. I am having fun with the game. I just had a lot that came out, so it's on hold. But
Hmm.
it's the type of game that I can immediately go pick up again and I'll be fine.
Okay. Okay.
It's a good game. Like it's a from what I've seen, a faithful remake of the second game, which is it's a remake of Pac-Man World 2, and it looks nice on Switch 2. It definitely runs nice, and I'm having fun with it. It's a Pac-Man World game. I don't know if you played Pac-Man World 1 repack.
No, I
It's
never played
similar to
that.
that. It's just a nice, fun platformer. They're very vanilla.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that was pretty much it for that. And the end off that month of September, on September 30th, yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics. Now, I knew there was a lot of games that came out roughly around this window frame. Just looking at everything that kind of came before it, I think I was still kind of tied up with Metal Gear Solid Delta, I think, at the moment. Because I have the game physical. And obviously, I bought it on Nintendo Switch, so I got the Switch 2 upgrade pack for it. Though they luckily Square Enix for this one game in particular gave it to you for free, whereas some other games they just didn't have it as an option whatsoever. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Dragon Quest One Plus Two HD 2D. I have to buy that game digital because I wasn't getting a game key card for that. Anyway, though,
Yeah.
yeah. So the fact that you had stuff like that, but anyway, I had that game in its case, and I have yet to open and actually play it because there was just so much stuff coming around that time. So it is sitting in the backlog somewhere. I'll get to it eventually though. But it was kind of cool when this one came out because a lot of people kind of wanted them to actually touch or release this again. And they added voice acting up in there. It's just almost like a full-on remaster and stuff like that. You can play it with the original graphics, like the original release, or you can play it obviously with the new modern stuff. So there's a lot of different things that you can kind of do or tinker with in terms of your gameplay setting or style and stuff. So I'm glad that's a thing. I'll eventually work this strategy RPG in there somewhere in my schedule because I do like myself some strategy games.
I never played it, but it looked cool. Like it's a remake, right?
Yeah,
Or is it a new
it's
one?
kind of like a remaster. It's not. No, it's not a new one. It's basically like a
Okay,
remaster. Yeah,
I gotcha.
but yeah, outside of that, that was pretty much all of the stuff that we had for the month of September. So we're getting close near the end. Only got a few more months left. Looking at the month of October. Woo wee! October 2nd, you had Ghost of Yote. I was on this mess for a solid roughly two. No, I don't think it took me two. Probably closer to 3 weeks. Because this was like almost not quite a 60-hour game, but I think it was like 50 something by the time I was done with this game, though. But that was an experience right there. Look, if you have a PS5 and you don't have yourself Ghost of Yote, you're sleeping. I don't understand what is wrong with you. Sucker Punch, they know exactly what they're doing. They did everything that you might have possibly loved within like Ghost of Tsushima, the game that happened prior to this. There's no continuity between the two games, but the gameplay is kind of similar. They just evolved upon it. Obviously, you had Atsu as a female protagonist. This time around, always bent on revenge. And gosh, I just like how pretty much you could get yourself lost in the world. You could just wind up catch yourself doing random side quests and stuff like that, and it kind of linked back together into the grander scope of the story that Atsu was kind of going on through. It never felt like you weren't progressing at any point in the game because I always kind of felt like even doing some of the side missions and stuff, it still kind of felt like it was almost like her natural part of her story that she's kind of going through and running through. So yeah, so her having all these different interactions with people that are really close to her, I guess you can almost call them as like people of your not necessarily clan, but like almost family members, like how wolves would treat wolf pack. I think that's what they kind of referred it to as in the game, though. But people that Atsu was really close to, like I loved all the different character interactions he had with everybody, and the game was looking beautiful and stunning, even on my 1080p TV. I don't even want to know what it looked like now with my 4K TV. We're still supposed to get some DLC updates for like the online play that we're gonna get for that game later on this year. So honestly, it's a really great game. Steven, I know you have Ghost of Tsushima. You should get to that at some point. And then when you're done with
Yeah,
that game, you will know whether or not you will like yourself some Ghost of Yote. So get to Tsushima at some point, man.
maybe I will.
All right, but that's all I had to say on Ghost of Yote. Also on October 2nd, golly, I forgot about this. Super Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2 managed to have its release on that one, and I think it was like what revealed at that Nintendo Direct that happened a couple weeks prior to this, and golly, that it felt like a shadow drop because it only took 2 weeks for them to release this mess. So you can pick it up physically to get both games for like $70, or individually on the eShop for like $40 a pop. I bought Mario Galaxy 2. Did you get 2 only, Steven? Or I'm trying to remember, or did you get the whole
No,
thing?
I got the physical 1+2,
Okay.
and they look really really nice. Like, I really like both Galaxy games, Galaxy One more, but like, like, it's weird because it's like a game I'll eventually go back to. It's like, I've played Galaxy 1 so many times, and I did play through Galaxy 2. I didn't go collect the goddamn green stars, but I did just a regular run through and beat the
Oh.
game on this new version. It looked really nice.
No, yeah, because I really wanted to get Galaxy 2 because I remember I just like having all the 3D Marios playable. Like 3D All Star gave you 64 Sunshine Galaxy 1. So I already had Galaxy 1 accessible. So I was like, there's no way I was going to pick up the physical that already had that game that I already owned. So that's why I just went ahead and just bought Galaxy 2 digitally, though. Just to say, well, I got all of those. Now we got Odyssey. And obviously, we'll probably get a new 3D Mario at some point, though. But yeah, pretty much every major 3D Mario game you can play it on the Switch right now, and then eventually you can say that with Switch too. But yep, good stuff right there. Good stuff. Nothing crazy, nothing super fancy, but all right. October 10th, you had the release of Battlefield 6. And it's kind of funny because I mean, even though none of us two having to play this, I just heard about it all the time online, and people always compare this to like what when Call of Duty came out and said, "Oh, Battlefield 6 is still doing better than this, though." But I just kind of found that funny. On October 16th, oh man, here comes another first party Nintendo game. Pokemon Legends ZA came out. And man, this was certainly a game to say the least, Steven. Like, my goodness. It was always cool being able to have an experience, Mega Evolutions be a thing within like, original Pokemon X and Y. But the fact they came back, we got to see it, the inclusion of all those old megas, but then obviously get some new ones included up in the mix. I was like, heck yes, let's freaking go. Didn't get my
Yeah,
Charizard Z. A little disappointed. But other than that, it was good.
Legend ZA is a divisive game in my eyes because the more I played it, the more I just got a little frustrated with it and did not like it. Because like I did like the gameplay, but it started to get more and more repetitive. And I did like the story at first, but it started to get more and more repetitive. And then the soundtrack got more and more repetitive. It's like it's a game that just kind of whittled down my patience, and I never even did the post game or bought the DLC.
I'm
It's
kind of
okay. It's
surprised you didn't
a
buy it.
I know
Or
it's like a middle of the road Pokemon game for me. I did not enjoy it as much as Legends Arceus, but I did not hate it.
yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where obviously I didn't hate it. I liked my experience with it. I thought it was a solid average. If I were to give it like a letter grade, it was a solid B experience for me. But it was not going to get anywhere close to like that A plus almost S tier that Legends Arceus had prior to it. Because maybe because I just love the
Yeah,
Sinnoh more. Some of those fights were super iconic with like Arceus and stuff like that. And then the way how they had some of those final bosses play out, like it just completely caught me off guard. I mean, there
yeah.
was the final boss. I won't say what it is in case someone hasn't happened to seen it yet for the DLC of Pokemon Legends ZA, but it did tap into something that you kind of saw previously in the previous game. That's all I'm gonna say on that. So that conclusion right there got me feeling some kind of way though. But I was like, I really like that conclusion though. But yeah, I played through that. I got the DLC for everything though. So overall it's a nice experience though. I'm just kind of curious to see how Mega Evolution Pokemon are going to play into the grander scheme, like whether or not they'll show back up in the Generation 10 game, or are we going to have to see them in the this Pokemon Champions thing only? We will see, because obviously there's no abilities in Pokemon Legends ZA or anything like that, so that can make some of these Pokemon even more interesting. But we will see. Outside of that, that was pretty much it for that. And then on October 21st, we had the release of Ninja Gaiden 4. And that's still a game I still need to sit down and actually go through and play. Because, man, oh man, I was like, I love myself some Ninja Gaiden. We had like Ninja Gaiden 2 Black early in the year. Just talked about Rage Bound that happened in the middle. And then now we had this to conclude off the year. So it was definitely the year of the Ninja. I would say so the least. Still on the backlog. I still got to get around to getting playing through it significantly. But just in those few opening moments, I could tell I'm gonna probably already have a good time with the game though. But that's pretty much all I have to say on it right now though. But I just like how we got so much Ninja Gaiden content this year because to be honest, we probably won't have nothing for the next 5 or 6 years. It's just how it's gonna be, unfortunately. But yeah, that's gonna basically do it in terms of all the October releases that I had up on my list. Now we're gonna move it over to November because on November 6th, we had the release of Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. I'll let you lead with this one, Steven.
So I never beat this game, by the way. I just
Oh,
want to get that. I
well, I
want to
mean,
get
I
that
didn't,
out
I
of the
didn't either. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
60% of the
It,
way through the
it
game.
just it's just such a I don't know. It's just such a unnecessary game. It feels pointless in every sense of the regard. It feels pointless in the sense of story because like Tears of the Kingdom kind of fills all those gaps anyways. If pointless in terms of the setting, because I don't know, like the characters, I mean, because I don't know, basically all of these sages aren't even that interesting. So it's like really the only thing you'd want to know more about is the sages, and okay, they're not even that interesting. Um, the the gameplay is good. Like it's a Warriors game, but it's just it feels like I don't know. I've played. It feels the exact same as every other Warriors game. Feels just like Age of Calamity, but 60 FPS, which does make it better, by the way. Glad that it's 60 FPS, but like I don't know. It's also got the weird map system again from Age of Calamity, where it's like filling out the map and this and that. And you got these weird side quests you got to do and materials to collect. It's I could go on and on, but like I don't know, it feels like such a pointless game, like a game where I'm like I'll eventually get to it. I don't feel like playing it, especially because those missions take like 30 minutes sometimes to do
Well,
a
no,
single
not no
mission.
30 minutes, but I think your basic old average thing, like if it's not a story mission part, it takes about
I'm
five
talking
minutes.
story. I'm talking about story
Oh,
missions.
story missions, it's not 30, but I remember recently going through one, it took me 15 minutes. So yeah, it does take a
I
good amount of time. Yeah, it does.
it's And it's in the actual gameplay. Once I'm playing it, I'm having fun. But it's all the fucking nonsense in between and like the cutscenes and stuff. It's just the
Now I
stuff I
like
don't
the
care
cutscenes. I like how much more they
about.
flesh out the
No,
story. Like I like the
I
story better in
guess.
this than versus what we ever had in Tears of the Kingdom. It feels a little bit more
Yeah, I
connected.
well, yeah, but that's the problem. I feel like Age of Calamity had a lot more to work with because Breath of the Wild actually had like interesting plot points. Well, Tears of the Kingdom, I don't know. It's like okay, there was a war and Ganon got sealed and this and that, and over. It's funny. All of the advertising for this kept advertising it as the canonical story, and it's like, oh yeah, maybe there will be something interesting, especially because they're saying it's canonical. No, I don't know. It's okay.
Hmm. But yeah,
Really, the only lore significance you could maybe possibly get is that this is like the first incarnation of Ganondorf. Demise died, and this is like probably the first Ganondorf incarnation.
yeah, but we ain't gonna
And
get
that's
into the whole, timeline
yeah, no, I'm
theory and
not.
stuff
I'm not.
because I'm pretty sure
It's the
this
only
is different than what Skyward Sword because this game and Skyward Sword or like Tears of the Kingdom and Skyward Sword they kind of contradict each other though. So it's like
which is the
okay,
whole problem with
yeah,
the Zelda timeline because Tears of the Kingdom they could have very easily just made it fit because they made the fucking timeline. I don't know. I'm not getting into this, but it's such a game that I don't have any thoughts on. It's like it's a game. I played it. I'll continue playing it, and it's not bad. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's probably got like a lot of content and like it's fun and the music's probably good. I just haven't heard that many good tracks myself yet. It just seems like Age of Calamity, but like maybe a slight downgrade.
yeah.
I don't know. I'll give my full thoughts once
Yeah,
I beat it.
I feel like for me personally, I think I like this one a little better than Age of Calamity because I also have to factor in the performance and stuff.
Yeah,
Because
well,
the
I'm
performance in this game is smooth as butter. Get in, do out, whatever you want. Age of Calamity, I remember going through and playing that mess, and it was almost a slideshow at some moments. Though did too much
yeah,
stuff with too many bombs, and you were looking at that bomb show of a frame rate issue right there. But overall, I did like the story better in this. Though it's just so much stuff kept coming out. I kind of knew what the end game was in terms of how the story will play out. So it's not like you needed to be in a breakneck blitz rush to finish this thing. The interesting thing about it is probably the construct. That new character. That's probably the only like unknown factor you can't really play out in terms of like how the story might
yeah.
play out. But that's pretty much it in terms of what I wanted to say up on it. Unless you have one more thing you wanted to say, Steven.
No, that's it.
Okay. All right, but yeah, so that game came out on November 6th. On November 14th, on my birthday, Call of Duty Black Ops 7 came out. And it was kind of interesting how that game came out, and I felt like it was almost like a fart in the wind. I mean, yes, I mean it did make a lot of money and stuff like that, though, but it didn't do as much in terms of its success to the point where they actually Activision had to come out and say, "Look here, we're not giving you yearly Call of Duty games anymore." They actually went back to the drawing board and say, "We're going to wait a few years before putting out another one, and wait another few years to put out another one." Because yeah, it was not doing nearly as good as what it did on some of the past ones. But I can understand it whenever you're making super minor changes to the new one that you just put out, and then the past one, there's not that much that kind of changed along with it. So I was like, yeah, you kind of have to do it in order to build back up hype and interest. So yeah, it'll be kind of weird next year saying knowing that we're not gonna actually have a Call of Duty game coming out next year. So that's something. And then to end off the month of November, a notable release on November 20th, you had the release of Kirby Air Riders. Now, I played this game a handful of times. Steven, you played it a whole lot more than me because I think at that time I still was trying to knock out Hyrule Warriors and Pokemon Legends, I think. So I just not hadn't been able to put in as much time in the Kirby Air Riders as what I probably should because I still need to go through and play through that
Yeah.
single player campaign. But what were your thoughts on that game?
Kirby Air Riders is a very fun game. It is just the definition of fun. It is non-stop fucking crack-filled addiction action. I just go through that game and it's going so fucking fast, or I'm getting so many power-ups, or I'm flying across the sky. It just is the definition of fun. It is the perfect balance of skill and simplicity, I'd say, in terms of how it controls, how you move around, this and that. Everything feels really nice and it's got that Sakurai polish to literally everything. The attention to detail, the amount of content, the amount of things to do in these modes, the characters themselves, the quality, the visuals, everything just has that Sakurai polish to it. And I'm really glad he did this game just because like from what I've seen of the original game, which I haven't played, this is like a upgrade in every single way from what I've heard. Tons of new stuff, new vehicles, new legendary machines, new tracks. There's a lot more emphasis on the air ride mode in this game. And then that single player, the road trip, kind of uses all three of the main modes. So that kind of keeps things interesting and a little bit replayable if you just want to do the road trip with different characters. Either way, though, there's just so many aspects to this game. There's the whole machine creating thing. There's the whole, ranking thing online. You can play this game for so many hours and still have new things to do. I like it a lot. I don't know how many hours I have in it though, but I have a lot.
Yeah, I just know I got to get back to playing that story mode. And then once I'm done with that and unlocking like a good amount of, some of the content that's up in the game, just a decent bit, and then I'll probably fully be able to move on though. But I don't know when I'm gonna be able to squeeze this mess up in this backlog that I have. It's kind of crazy right now though. But no, there's quality up in this game, and there's a lot of chaos up in it in terms of like the matches. But I feel like I'll get most of my main pull out of just doing races online versus the old city trial stuff, which I know a lot of people are like diehards for the city trial stuff. And I had the original GameCube release one too, so I can understand why people are like that. It's just I don't know. I just feel like this is too much craziness. And I don't know. When things get too crazy, I tend to kind of bow out, though. But overall, Kirby Air Riders, it's a good game. Glad Sakurai was able to do something that he wanted to do. Have fun with those directs along the way, though. And yeah, overall, very solid game. Very solid. All right. Outside of that, that's pretty much it for the month of November. Now we're to the final month of the year, December. On December 4th, we had the release of two different games. One of them being Octopath Traveler 0, in which case I have the game. I bought it on sale. I have yet to actually put any time up in it, though. But that was Square Enix's latest release in terms of the HD 2D series. It's nice to have that because I think that was like a mobile only release, or there's a variation of it. Now they actually finally moved it to consoles. So yeah, eventually at some point I'll get around to putting my hands on that game to actually sit down and play that game for a substantial amount of time. I just ain't got time for a 60-hour RPG right now. And then the other game that came out on December 4th, which was like the last big major first party game of that year, Metroid Prime 4. Oh boy. This was the game that everybody was expecting for their mama for the longest time. Remember, this game was announced all the way back in 2017. It got that slight little reboot in like the early part of 2019. I think in that January video that Nintendo rep was standing in front of a white screen, did the bow. You're like, oh shoot, something's going down. Yeah, the development pivoted from Bandai over to Retro Studios, and from there it was radio silent for a long time on the Eastern Front until we got. When was it, Steven? Was it early part of 2025 or late 2024?
Late 2024.
No, late 2024 in that direct, that September direct.
Yeah. Yes.
We finally got wind of it, and we knew it was coming, and we knew a Switch 2 was also coming, and that's at that point I knew it was probably going to be for a dual SKU, and that's how it played out. And did it live out to all the hype that it was warranted towards? Heck no. Heck no. I'll go ahead and say that. I was really thinking that this was going to be a really special game, the way how people talked up Metroid Prime games and stuff like that. I just think it's just that long, crazy development cycle for this game. It just got the short end of the stick. Yeah, yes, there was a lot of things that it had going for this game. Some things I really like visually speaking, the game looked beautiful. I ain't knocking it for that. It's just the way how some of the story and design flaw choices that they kind of went about this game.
Yeah, it is a disappointing Metroid game, and it is just an okay action adventure game. I genuinely don't know what happened, and I genuinely do not know how development hell could result in this.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking back to some of my experiences. The backtracking and the stupid desert, I think, were like my main number one killers. And honestly, when you get upgrades going through a Metroid game, you're supposed to be like, "Ooh, I'm excited. Ooh, what can I use this for? Ooh, what I like to go back and travel to actually try out this new ability." You can do all that mess in a 2D Metroid game, but oh shoot, you got a new ability up in this game, and I was like, I never was ecstatic. I was never excited. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, well, this is kind of cool, but I ain't going back to figure out whatever I missed with this new ability now. I'm just kind of going to keep pressing forward and stuff like that. Because I don't know. I mean, granted, I liked a lot of the Federation Force members that you were going through and saving, albeit except for one. I found like this a little bit annoying, but it wasn't nearly as bad as what the internet was making them out to be, though. The final boss was a pain. I kind of hated the way how it was structured, at least for like a phase 1 of it. That's all I'll say. If you know, you know. But overall, this was like one of those games where I was like, when I got to the end of it, I was like, I was never happy that I was done with this game and I could move on to the next game. And I was glad the experience is over. I rarely ever say that with pretty much any game I'm playing. And this just happened to be one of them. I was like, oh, shoot. Come on, y'all. And I know they probably had the groundwork laid out for Metroid Prime 5, but the way how you're burning some of these people on Metroid Prime 4, they might not even give Metroid Prime 5 the chance today, even though it could be handled a whole lot better with that sequel. Who knows? But
yeah,
it was a sour way to end off the year. I'll say that.
I genuinely do not know what happened there. I don't know. We'll see how Metroid Prime 5 goes. I genuinely think that one could be a little bit better if it's just not stuck in development hell and if they take lessons that the internet's telling them. Or, whoever. Maybe Nintendo wasn't even really that happy with this. Because I don't know if you remember, ever since that little tease last year, they really hardly showed anything of this game.
Oh, you mean from 2024?
Like,
That
yeah, yeah, like,
okay.
yeah, after that, they, like, really weren't showing us anything about this game, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't
They
until
showed
they
us,
had that
like,
direct that was 1 week before the Switch 2 presentation
yeah,
where we
but
actually got the first
but
meaningful
even
bit.
then, like, but even then, they hardly actually showed us anything. They hid the Federation members the entire time. I genuinely do believe Nintendo knew that what they had on their hands was just okay.
And
Nintendo was a little embarrassed, but they couldn't do anything. They couldn't delay it anymore. All they could possibly do was show Samus fighting fucking Grievers for the 15th time in the trailers and nothing else. I don't know. Whatever. It's not
yeah.
even that interesting. It's like the story isn't even that interesting. There's no hidden hook. There's no hidden reveal. It's just fucking, it's just okay. It's really disappointing from a story perspective, but not gonna get into that.
Yeah. That was just all it was for me. It was just, disappointment. If you happen to love the heck out of this game, more power to you. But I don't know. Metroid, when I look at Samus, I have a certain like pedigree of like a bar that I usually set her off with. Because Zero Mission, great game. Fusion, I got frustrated sometimes though, but it's still a good game. Um, Samus Returns, great. Super Metroid, an instant classic. And then obviously Metroid Dread, like that's the best Metroid game I've ever played. So I'm so used to playing great Metroid games within all the 2D games. I just never really messed around with the 3D ones. I dabbled a little bit with Metroid Prime Remaster, but things came out. I just never got back around to circling around to the game though. But I was like, oh, Metroid Prime 4, brand new release, highly anticipated game. I remember it being showed off in 2017. It got to be good, right? And it burned me so much where I was like, I might not even mess with any other Metroid Prime games. I just don't know. And I know it's no fault of Retro Studios itself, though, but like, I don't know. There's some parts of the 3DS style of a Metroid game that I just wasn't 100% vibing on, outside of just how good the world itself looked, but whatever. But outside of that, that's all of the games that I had on my list for the second half of 2025, and that should conclude everything in the year in review for part two, along with just the whole entire year in review for everything, because we talked about part one, January through June, in the previous episode. So, yeah. Overall, Steven, if you were to give 2025 a letter grade between any of the stuff we managed to get from Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, or any of the other third parties, where would you sit at with 2025?
I'd say it was a nice B. Like, I don't know. There wasn't really that many heavy hitters. Most of the big games had some kind of issue with them,
Yeah,
in my opinion. So, like, I don't know. Like, Mario Kart World is Mario Kart World, this and that. Air Riders. Well, Air Riders and Bonanza are really the only two games I just thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed. No issues whatsoever. Other
yeah.
than that, I don't know. It was a hit or miss, and it was very quiet, at least for me. Maybe some other people thought it was a more crazy year. Obviously Switch 2 kind of had a bit slower of a year than we expected,
Yeah,
all
because there
things
was that
considered.
drought between Donkey Kong
But like
Bonanza and, gosh, what was the next game that we had? Um,
Donkey Kong Bonanza, and then there was a bunch of Switch 2 editions kind of closing that gap, and then it was Legend ZA.
yeah, ZA. It was like that gap between July and October, and that's when people really started to feel it.
Yeah,
And then when October came around, then we started getting hit with bang, 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 bang. So no one's really saying much now anymore. But
yeah.
yeah, I'll say I'll give it a B plus, mostly because of Donkey Kong Bonanza, because that was like a personal highlight for me this year. I still need to get around to making that video. I need to record it here soon. Hopefully, I can actually get it out Friday for my um golly. I don't know why it's slipping my mind. Basically, my game of the year picks, where I usually pick like my top three and some couple of honorable mentions. Hopefully I can get that out Friday. If not, then maybe the next week. But overall, 2025 it was a solid year. Not the best of all years. There ain't no 2017. I'll tell you that much. But it was good, even considering the fact that we finally managed to get the Switch 2 console launch and stuff, and still been actively playing the mess out of that mess pretty much from almost every day or every other day at this point, though. But yeah, that is pretty much going to do it in terms of all the topics I have tonight for this ZardCast episode, though. So, yeah, a little longer than normal because of a little bit more additional news than what I ever kind of thought, though. Oh, now I'm finally looking at Sonic's comment. He says that's Steven's favorite game. I missed it whenever he actually happened to drop whatever game you happen to be talking about. He was probably talking about that though. But yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff we have to go through and talk about in this one episode right here though. So Steven, let the fine people know where they can find you at because I'm tired. It's getting cold. Oh shoot, it's getting close to the negatives now. I'm starting to freeze my tail off a little bit. But go ahead and let the fine people know.
This winter storms ain't gonna get any better. You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Jr. 1231 or on a collab channel I do with some friends on YouTube called Spaghetti Disco.
Alrighty, and that's truly gonna do it in terms of this episode right here, though. So if you really like this video, make sure you're gonna hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related. I feel like talking about and discussing though. And if you happen to, obviously, you're on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button, all of that. Let people know that we're just a couple dudes that just love talking about, all things gaming related from Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox. Also some pop culture stuff in between though. Just let some people know, hey, this is a jolly good old show. And then if you happen to be one of the audio only listeners that happen to be listening to this either on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just leave a small little review. Just let people know, hey, we're just a couple dudes that just really love talking about video games and stuff though. But yep, that's truly gonna do it in terms of today's podcast episode. So remember, y'all, until our video I make next, until my next ZardCast episode, that being 118, which will probably not be 2 weeks from now. Goodness, I'm about to kill myself. Not 2 weeks from now, though. It's probably going to be about 3 weeks from now. It'll probably be the week after the Super Bowl, so the podcast is probably going to get offset by a little bit, though. I'll keep y'all updated on my socials, though. Until that next episode, I'll see y'all later.